Be live. I was just watering my plants real fast, and one of my plants, I had these problems outside. I would get a lot of these little bugs. They would just cover the entire my avocado trees, and they would eat up all the leaves on the avocado trees. Right? And I didn't know what to do about it. I tried all types of insecticides, whatever you call it, and I couldn't get them off. And I noticed that rain. I thought it was maybe because the hot weather or something, but the black bugs stopped attacking my avocado trees. Well, I was just out there watering my plants now, and I happened to look on the other side of my chives that are growing, and all the black bugs were literally like on the other side where you couldn't see them if you were just to walk out there and water it. And it scared the shit out of me. I just got to throw the whole plant away. That plant's done. It's finished. It's just too, that thing is just overrun with those bugs. So good news is my avocado tree. I'd rather say my avocado trees because those take a lot longer to get going. Than the chives. Chives are, you can buy that from the store. Chives are cheap, But I'd rather it happen like that because I got 3 avocado trees growing. I prefer the avocado trees. But the chives, that's fucked up. I'm just gonna throw that whole. I usually don't throw plants away. I'll usually stick by a plant until it's like long gone dead, and even then, I'll still see if I could just experiment and resuscitate it back to life in some kind of way. I've done it a few times. Most times it fails, but I have resuscitated some plants. But yeah. So this is so when my girl, when she hears me say I'm gonna throw the plant away, she knows that plant is long gone. If I said I threw it away, if I say I'm gonna go to the doctor, my plants are die, or if I say the plants are dead, or if I say my son is sick, yeah, she knows. Yeah, it's a good chance that shit is fucked up. Like I'm not in a maybe zone with that shit. Well, yeah. What's up, Gaines Day? I was about to go live. I'm good, man. I'm on no sleep, man. I barely slept last night. I almost didn't live stream because I'm fucking tired. I am tired. Or as most of my Czech friends say, I am tired. They pronounce the red part. You know what else? A friend of mine wrote me. He's Czech, so English is his second language, or maybe third, I don't know. But it's not his first. His first language is Czech. And this is something I never thought about. Now, with American English and UK English, this is one of those slight differences, I think, in grammar. I don't know if the UK sees this as proper grammar or not. It might be kind of a slang thing for them too. But I think they use these kind of scenarios more in everyday speak, whereas Americans would never use this shit. For example, in American English, we would say, if somebody says, "What time is it?" You would just say, "I don't know," whatever. I don't know what time it is, right? Now, and don't be surprised in UK English, somebody might say, I haven't the time." The contraction, "I have not the time," right? Now, in America, you would never hear someone in America use that contraction in that form. You would never, ever hear an American say that. Unless they were just trying to be fancy or something like that. You would never hear that. So the usage of contractions is a really confusing thing, especially if you want to learn, proper English, and then you want to learn contractions after that. That's a really interesting thing. And the reason why I got my attention on it is because a friend of mine, he's going to move back to Prague. He's been out of Prague for a few years, but he's coming back. He just found a new girlfriend here. I met her. She's cool too. She speaks a little bit of English, not a lot, but she could definitely understand what I'm saying, but she can't reply back as well as she wants to. So anyway, the friend of mine, he wrote me. And here, I'll read. I'm going to read off just that part because I can't remember exactly. I remember the context, but I don't remember the. Hold on. The way he used "I'm" really threw me off, and I meant to ask him if I could use this in a live stream because he knows I do this. He's a friend of mine. He used to work at the brothel. He knows I do YouTube, so I meant to ask him just to be sure I could copy the message and use it as an example for like, but I'm not going to read it all off. I just forget exactly how he said it. Wait, where is it? He's talking about my son here. Shit, I can't. Anyway, the way he used the contraction, he used the word I'm, which in English is I am. It's I am, but just smashed together with, so it's I apostrophe M. So long story short, how he said it would be like, okay, in American English, we would say like I'm the best. Like for example, if I said I am the best, in everyday speak, we would just say I'm the best, right? Just I'm. We don't say I. We wouldn't typically say every individual word if we can, cut it off and smash it together. So we would just say I'm the best, right? So in the example of I'm the best, I am, right? This is a weird thing that I never even thought about that could possibly confuse somebody who doesn't speak English as their first language. So what he relatively said was, I'm the best, I'm, right? So like, for American English speakers or fluent English speakers, like you already know like how that sounds. We would never say, I'm the best, I'm. We would say, I'm the best, I am. We would never use even though it's technically correct on the end, it's not wrong. We would just never say it. Right? And it really like, it's these little parts that just kind of like stick out to me. And I'm still, I've been here for 8 years, and I'm still like, either finally, realizing these little quirks or coming across a new one I just never thought about. Like another quirk that happened. Well, this is when we was on our way back from seeing Deadpool. I told my girl we was riding a tram back home, and I said, you know what? I really thought about what I look like from her perspective, right? Because she's Czech, so she can read, she obviously can read and write and all that in Czech, right? Whereas she knows I don't know Czech like that. Like I can bullshit my way through sometimes, but I don't know it, to be, like she is with English, right? So I thought about it. I said, you know what? Like I told her this on the tram. I said, I am really flattered. And she thought I was joking, right? Because I always say stupid shit. Like out of nowhere. I said, I am really flattered. And he goes, why? I said, look, you chose to have a baby with me, knowing every time I walk out, as soon as I walk out my flat, I can't read shit. And I can't even talk to half the motherfuckers here. And you have enough faith in me to watch a baby that you made with me alone in what is essentially a foreign country to me. Like, how much faith does this woman have? Like, how big am I? Or I don't even how big I am or how much she just believe in me to the point where she's never even taken a second thought, like, that might be a bad idea. Right? Like, I mean, like, she's here, taking. Right? I'm really flat. Like, I mean, like, because I can read and get by a little bit, but by no means am I good. I say, you know what? Like, what's crazy is, and because I never thought about it, she's never seen me in action, like, in an English-speaking country, right? Let alone North America. Like, we never went to the UK together or anything. Like, once I'm in the UK, I could walk and move and, there's a small hiccups here and there, but I can get by because because I speak English fluently. Right, so, but she's never, my ex-wife seen me in the UK, but my girl now, she's never even seen me in the UK. So she's not used to me just being able to just like, my child's mother is not used, she's never seen me completely comfortable just out and about in the regular, like even when it comes down to like having to call the electric bill company, she has to call them, right? Because they ain't gonna speak English. And even if they can, they probably get in trouble for doing it because, if they end up saying something wrong, they can get in trouble for it. So a lot of times, like doctors, I've had judges. They won't speak. They can speak English, but they legally can't speak to me in English, because if they say something wrong and I go off and and believe it, well, they'll be in trouble for it legally for that. So they'll all just speak, especially if they're at work, they'll just speak Czech. That way, that cuts out that whole possible fuck up situation. Right? Talking like Yoda. Yeah, that's the weird part. Cause here's the weird part. So this is what I found out. English, in many ways, if it weren't for English being like the media powerhouse that it is, like let's say like if history was different, let's say the Spanish or like the French did what they really should have done and took over the world, right? Because that's what really should have happened back when that maritime trade was popping off. The UK was in a long third place behind the French and the Spanish. Them motherfuckers was like the the dumpster compared to them, right? But let's say we can go back in the past, right? And the media powerhouse was like any other language than English, right? English for real is damn near like how Yoda speaks to the rest of the world. Like for real. Not in every single scenario, but especially when you compare it to like Slavic languages, like English is like the backwards way. And this is something that, for lack of better words, our arrogance doesn't allow us to see. Like we just would see like Yoda speaking like he's fucking, some omnipotent retard, right? Some shit like that, right? But like we don't see like, well, maybe we're talking backwards to them, right? So when you watch or like for example in France, I can't remember exactly what it was now, but in French, you would literally say the car red. You don't say the red car, right? Like it's backwards, right? Like votre, I forget how you rose. Le rose voiture, like the you would say it's back. I can't remember exactly how it is, but I remember when I learned French, it's backward. Some sentences structures are like backwards or just like all kind of flip. So English is really the Yoda shit to like a lot of other motherfuckers for real. Let me see if I can find myself because I want to make sure I'm even audible. But I got some questions about Deadpool. I'm not gonna spoil the movie, even though there's nothing really to spoil. It was really just a big ass. If you've seen the trailer, you already knew that pretty much told the whole goddamn story. So there's nothing really to even spoil about it. Yeah. So yeah, there's nothing really to even spoil about the movie. Even though I'm not gonna like spoil anything. But okay. So I say this. First off, these are just my thoughts on Deadpool. First off, okay, I think Ryan Reynolds does a great job as Deadpool. It's the only role I could stomach him. I could stomach watching him. It's the only role I can sit there and genuinely watch an entire movie with him in it. It's the only movie because my girlfriend, she likes The Hitman's Bodyguard. We went to go see part 2 of that, and I could not wait to leave. I can't remember if we left early or not, but I couldn't wait to leave. I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I think Ryan Reynolds does a great job as being Deadpool. It's the only role I could watch him in. The action scenes were like, I ain't gonna lie, look, they just weren't good. They just getting old, man. It's like, what was the movie? John Wick. It's like John Wick. Remember when John Wick 4 came out? And like he's like noticeably like stiffer when you watch that shit versus like John Wick 1 and 2. Like John Wick 1 to the motherfucker damn near doing backflips. He almost a Power Ranger in that motherfucker. That motherfucker's a Power Ranger in John Wick 1. Right? And then John Wick 4, the whole movie in John Wick 4, he spends just hide behind his jacket. Awesome. Like literally the whole fucking movie, and he keeps doing that same flip, like flipping him over his arm. He does the same thing like 8 times in the movie. Cause he's just old, right? He's old. The motherfucker, he's damn. I mean, he's old for being a Power Ranger. All right, he's old as fuck for being. You can't be a 60-year-old Power. Look, Arnold Schwarzenegger sat down and said, "Look, I'm too old. I can't do this no more. All I can do is just walk and just stare." And motherfucker inject CGI when I gotta start running. All right, that's what because he's old. I'm not mad about it. It is what it is, right? And John Wick, okay. I'm not gonna spoil the ending of John Wick in case somebody hasn't watched it yet. But yeah, Keanu needs to just go ahead and hang that up because that last one. I mean, it's cool because he was John Wick, right? And he just looks badass in the suit with the whole Jesus hair and all that shit. Like he just looks badass in the suit. But look, that physicality it just ain't there no more. He just doesn't have it. It's just not there, right? Well, Hugh Jackman and whoever was wearing the Deadpool outfit, like that shit was like noticeably off. Like I'm just like, there was one scene. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Where they team up, where Wolverine and Deadpool team up to fight a bunch of people, right? And like Hugh Jackman ain't got old too. He can't do it. He just can't do it no more, right? Now here's the thing. I hope that was Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman in them suits, and they didn't CGI some shit in there because that shit looked awful. I mean, it didn't look awful, but like it just didn't look good, right? Like Logan looked good. Logan, if you go back and watch Logan, still looks good. Logan looks good now. Like that was just a great movie. Cause okay. There's one awkward part where it was just so fucking clear, like it was really bad, right? Like after they had got done fighting like this like army of people, at the end, like they go from being like super stiff in the street, right? Because Ryan Reynolds is like fucking 45 with fucking hemorrhoids, and Hugh Jackman is like fucking 55, but he just, the dude, he's just a good looking tall dude who can pass for Wolverine, right? So it's like we just put up with him, right? And they fight down the street, and he's like stabbing them, and it just looks so stiff, man. Like it looks like okay. There are professional wrestlers who can make this shit look better than they did in that movie, right? It just didn't look good. But here was the weird part. It was like they had to have seen how bad this looked. At the end of the fight, it was at the end of the fight scene. They end up fighting in a bus, right? And they go through the bus. And they go from being like super stiff and like just hoping you just pay attention to the shock value of seeing Deadpool make these weird like shocking faces, and they jump out the back of the bus, but it's all CGI. So Wolverine goes from like literally like the beginning of the movie, it was like, all right, it was looking a little rough, but look, it's Hugh Jackman. We just should be happy we got him back, right? It went from that to like it stayed pretty much there until about like a little more than halfway in. And it was like they took like 2 years off or something in the filming when Hugh and Ryan had hit that wall and it was going down and they couldn't do it no more. And like the second half of the movie, it just looks so bad. Like they jumped out the back of the bus and Wolverine's arms was like super curled in, and it just didn't look. When you watch the movie, you gonna see what I'm talking about. It just didn't look good. It just didn't look good. Now, I would still recommend the movie if you have any interest in Marvel. I'd still recommend it as long as you had some interest in Marvel. Now, I wouldn't recommend it if you don't if you wouldn't be excited to hear like a Sentinel's gonna be in the movie, which is not a Sentinel, I don't think. But let's just say like, okay, like for example, if I were to tell you there's a X-Men movie coming out and they're gonna be fighting Sentinels, right? If you would get any little bit excited by hearing that, I would tell you to go watch Deadpool. Even though there's no Sentinels or anything like that in it, I'm just saying like the understanding of the Marvel world. Now, if you were to hear, yeah, they getting ready to fight Sentinels and they're gonna look comic book accurate and all that in the next movie, and you was just like, oh, if you had that reaction, Deadpool's not a good movie. The overall plot just isn't that good. The story, like I said, once you've seen the trailer, you've essentially seen what the movie's about. So there's not really a lot to spoil about it. But I tell you, where the movie does have its strength and how many cameos they had in it. They had a shitload of cameos. Like I was just shocked at how many people they got back from other movies to show up in that. Right? I was just complete, like, that's where the movie is just like mind blowing. How many people they got to be in that movie from all different Marvel movies. That was like that was by far that's probably gonna be the record for how many Marvel movies starred in one movie, one episode of anything, right? That was true because it got to a point where I just didn't know who he was gonna see. It got to a point where I was like, I genuinely did not know who or what was getting ready to pop out. Right? It really got, and that's where I think the movie completely shines. So, like I said, again, if you were into Marvel, and you've been into Marvel, especially if you've been into Marvel, like, I'm not gonna be like what they call like a gatekeeper. I'm not gonna be a gatekeeper and say, oh, well, you had like Marvel back in the '90s, or you're not a real Marvel fan. I'm not gonna say no fag shit like that. But what I will say is this, man. If 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 you ever watched the older Fox movies, I'll say this: the more movies that you've seen of Marvel, the better the movie will be for you. Sheerly from the amount of cameos in it. So the more movies, the more stuff you've seen, the better. Like for example, I watched the Loki TV show on Disney. I watched Loki. So since I watched Loki, I knew all about the TVA at this point. So, but my girl, she didn't. And I said, I said, look, I told you to watch Loki because she didn't know who all them people with them. She didn't know who the TVA was because she didn't watch Loki. I did. I watched most of the first season. So I knew who the TVA were. I know who the TVA is. So like I said, like it's that thing. Like the more you've seen about the Marvel universe, the more weight all the little things. Like for example, well, this isn't spoiling anything. Because since you've seen the TVA, if you watch Loki, then you know that they go to this area where like everybody who did something bad, even if it was on accident in the universe, they get essentially sent off to this like banished realm kind of thing before they're just erased from existence. And it had like the old Thor helmet, but my girl didn't know. Like I doubt anybody there in the movie theater knew what that was. Like it was just like randomly like scattered. I was like, wow, like it was all that little attention to detail, and then he even put like 20th Century Fox in there because that was like a joke at them. But it was like the movie really caters more. The movie shines in being nostalgic, in nostalgia. Am I pronouncing that right? That's where the movie completely shines. Again, plot wise, all the other shit wasn't the best. Like for example, if you liked, okay, somebody could come in and watch the movie Logan with very minimal information about who Wolverine is or what his powers is, right? A person could come in to Logan with little to no knowledge and walk out and be like, that was a good movie. Right? And not even know anything about him or anybody else in the Marvel in Marvel period, right? Whereas Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds does a good enough job like being a distraction. So I guess that could be like the anchor for the movie to keep it, but it really just wasn't a good. I don't think it was a good movie in terms of story, of actual story, lore, shit like that. Yeah, you talking about the cavalry? Yeah. That was actually that completely blew my mind. I had no idea that was gonna be him, even though they were showing his muscles from behind. I had no idea that was gonna be him playing Wolverine, dude. Like, I was completely shocked, right? And my girl had no idea. She didn't know. She was like, oh. I mean, she didn't, because she, she doesn't, she's not, I mean, she likes Marvel movies, but she's not like keeping a mental note of Marvel movies, kind of, or Marvel information. So she didn't, I don't think anybody in there really cared. And then the other weird part was, in the beginning where they're playing NSYNC, I couldn't quite understand if the people in there were just kind of taking it as American humor. I mean, not American humor, American entertainment. Because I asked my girl, like, did she notice that they shouldn't be playing NSYNC while they're like, while Deadpool's killing a bunch of guys? Like, it doesn't match. And I don't think she really got. I think they just kind of seen it. I could be wrong. Maybe they just didn't think it was funny. I don't know. But I felt like that was a cultural joke that just did not communicate well. And it probably won't communicate well to, I would say, at least people outside of the U.S. and the U.K. and maybe Australia, if they were in on that. I don't know if people in Australia were in on NSYNC or not back then either. But it was like little things like that. There were definitely cultural jokes, and then there were just bad translations that just didn't fit, or they were just flat out just wrong translations. Because I can read a fair amount of Czech, and I can tell it was like a lot of translations just weren't right at all, like weren't even close. But yeah, overall, like if you like Marvel, I would recommend just to see it. Now, I will spoil one thing. Gambit is in it. I'll spoil this. Gambit is in it, right? And especially if you are older, a little older, slightly older, like my age, you remember the X-Men cartoon. Everybody from my age demographic liked Gambit. If you were in the Marvel or watched X-Men back in the day, everybody thought Gambit was cool. Like you could not find somebody who did not think Gambit was cool. It was impossible, right? Because he just had this staff. He could throw a deck of cards and he could always shuffle them, and all. He was just a cool dude, right? Channing Tatum plays Gambit, right? Now here's the weird part about it, is that I think Channing Tatum did a great job with what he was given. I seriously do. I think he did an excellent job. Did he look right? Fuck no. He just didn't look right at all in it. And it almost looked like more of a joke than anything. I was almost expecting Ryan Reynolds to make fun of him for even standing there looking like that. But, hey, we got Gambit. Yeah, I can't complain. Well, I can a little bit. Because he just didn't let me. Now here, but I'll give him praise. I don't know the Creole he was speaking, so I don't know if it was just a bunch of bullshit or not. But it sound good to me. It sound like he genuinely went somewhere and put in fucking effort to get that fucking Creole sounding good. And it sound like he seriously put effort into that shit. And for whatever it's worth, I'm proud of him for doing that. I think he did a great job with what he had to work with, but he just didn't look right playing Gambit at all. There was just nothing outside him just being a white dude. That was it. Nothing else about him. Because he's not a fat dude. He's just too chubby, right? He just doesn't look right. He just didn't look. So when we came, because my girl, she didn't know she doesn't know the old X-Men cartoons. So when we got home, I showed her what Gambit actually looks like from the old cartoon and why he just didn't look right at all. But again, he did a great job with what he was given. But the weird part, the questions I have about Deadpool is the question I have about Deadpool. Now, I say this as a dude who grew up in the suburbs, right? And Dave Chappelle even touched on this shit. What is this always gay shit? First off, Deadpool is definitely white guy humor. I get that. I'm cool with it. I'm not saying it's necessarily a problem. It definitely gets a bit stale, but it's white guy humor, hey numbnuts, you want to buckle up your pants before you start leaking while I'm talking? You know, these quick, witty white guy, borderline gay shit. Like it's always these gay jokes. Like what? Like I said, I grew up in the suburbs, and Dave Chappelle touched on this with the white guys shoving carrots up people's ass because they think it's funny. Like what the fuck is it with white guy humor and always having to be gay? Like what the fuck? And it's not just American white dudes. It's like it's white dudes here. They do the same shit, right? Like it's always like this gay shit, right? Like it's always like what the fuck? Like why? I mean, like, okay, I get the white guy humor. I grew up in the suburbs. I get it. I get white guy humor. It's always, you know, it's the white guy humor where it's not really funny. You know what I mean? Like, it's not funny, but it's just like it's something kind of thing. Like you ain't gonna have nobody in tears off that shit unless they're like weird, like Kramer from Seinfeld. Like Kramer would have you laughing from Seinfeld. But like it's white. Okay, here's the thing. Let me correct it. It's modern white guy humor, right? Like it's the modern because the older generation white guys didn't joke, as far as I know, like this. Like it's the modern take on white guy humor. Like it's this constant gay shit. It's always got to be something gay. Like when you watch the Deadpool trailers, he's looking at Wolverine's ass the whole time and all this. You're like, why? What the fuck? Like. It's just constant gay shit, right? Like, you know, it's either gay shit or I poop my pants. It's how creative can you get with how I can sound like I poop my pants? Like, why? Can't you come up with something else? Please. It's not, I mean, like, it's like, oh, hopefully, and it always gets that real response like, oh, I hope they say something really funny after this, or I'm gonna have to pretend like this shit was funny, right? It's always like that. Now, a couple times it was funny in the movie. A couple times it like the gay joke was like genuinely kind of funny, but like, yeah, just what the fuck is that shit, man? Nick, you say Tatum is barely 6 foot. I didn't even know he was 6 foot tall. I didn't even know he was that tall. But yeah, he's not lean enough. I agree with you, Nick. Yeah, he's definitely he was just too chubby, and he had that fucking and they dressed him up full on like Gambit. But he just didn't look right, man. And then on top of it, it just looked too shiny. Like Gambit looked like he a little, you know what I mean, like a little rough. You know what I mean, like he just didn't look right. I think he did again. I think Channing Tatum did a great job with what he had to work with. What he was given. I think he did an excellent job. He just wasn't right for that. Okay, there would be no way there would be a trailer with him looking like that in it, and I'd be like, yeah, I gotta watch that. Okay. Let's say if Channing Tatum was in any movie trailer, just looking like how he was looking in that movie as Gambit, right? And he get to talking all down there like this now, yeah. And he get to doing all that with a deck of cards, and he's sitting there with this chubby turtleneck and his slick back 50s white suburban haircut. This chubby because the dude's muscular for real, I think. But he's just too he's just too thick, and so it looked like he looked like a fucking hamster in a turtleneck with a French act with a Creole. I mean, like he just didn't look right. He like a lotioned up hamster, like a lotioned up hamster wearing a turtleneck. This shit just didn't look right, man. Like no, at all. He looked awful. Looked terrible. What's up, Elijah? What's up, No Drift? Do you think women are secretly into video games but are going along with what most women say about video games? Kevin, women are into anything that think... Okay, women are into anything... It's two things. Women are into anything that they think rich men are into, or they think that women who can attract rich men are into. One, and the other part is women are in anything that women will be into anything that they think that they can keep up with in their rankings of physical attractiveness, right? Like if so, for example, this is why it's rare to find like Victoria's Secret models um playing like World of Warcraft on TV and shit like that. See, it's rare to like. I'm sure some probably do, but you're not gonna have anywhere near the same types of them coming out saying, "Yeah, I like to do these things that women don't historically like to do, that men usually historically like to do." Especially that's not like a money maker thing, right? It's always it's always like okay. Look back at all the famous women who did play video games, right? Okay, not counting the recent ones like the fucking the Pokemon girl is a good looking girl, right? I mean, given she's got to put on a bunch of makeup before she looks like that, but the image is a good looking woman, right? Now, 20 years ago, back when Olivia Munn and Jessica Chobot, see, here I'll show you. Let's look up. See, Jessica Chobot was the first one I remember. That was like actually hot. Okay, now there was another one, and she didn't got old now too, because this is 20 years ago. Morgan Webb, from what I remember, was the first. She was Morgan Webb. This girl right here, from what I remember, and I could be wrong, but from what I remember, she was the first good-looking girl that consistently, talked about video games in any kind of way. But you also got to remember, back then, this was before YouTube, so it wasn't a lot of outlets for anything like video games 20 years ago. 25 years ago. Just wasn't anywhere you can, video games were comic books, video games, these things were only for like these were like closed societies essentially. Right? I was watching a YouTuber talk about video games like 30 years ago. Like, video games were in that world where if you played a video game and you knew somebody, and if somebody just told you somebody else plays a video game, you two are automatically in that closed society together, right? It was that thing like 25 years ago. Nowadays, it is not that closed society anymore. But back then it was. So Morgan Webb, it was her, and I forget the dude's name. I don't even know how I remembered her name. There he is, Adam Sessler. It was Adam Sessler or Morgan Webb. Adam Sessler, he's doing I think he's still reviewing video games now. But it was them two, Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb. I had them. These two were the only video game reviewers on TV that I knew of back in, I'd say like late 90s to 2000. They were reviewing like PS2 games and shit like that. And they did a great job, because again, this was before the social media was ever even thought about, right? You couldn't even believe something like social media would be a thing today. I would say even YouTube when they were at the height of their game, right? And to be fair, Morgan Webb looks better now than she did back then. Right? 20 years, she looks better because makeup, hairstyles, internet tutorials, all that shit, whatever, right? And then now Jessica Chobot literally got famous. I remember this when this happened. Jessica Chobot literally got famous for licking a PSP. Let me see if I could. And posted it on. Yeah, she's making fun of herself doing it now, but she did it like 20 something. Yeah, this was the original picture from like, I don't know how old this is, but this is when the PSP was out, and she took that picture like that and was Jessica Chobot. She had a name from then on in the video game world, right? That's how she got popular. Because this was before Instagram and and all that shit. So you didn't see a good-looking girl. Okay, here's the thing. Okay, first let me finish that statement. You didn't see a good-looking girl doing anything like this. Now, back in these years when Jessica Chobot did this, right? There's like an entire context for like the younger people that the older people know, but the younger people don't, right? When Jessica Chobot did this, back then she was more just like an R8 girl. She wasn't, she really wasn't anything super special, right? But this is back before the days of like Pornhub, where you could see bitches puking on cocks whenever you wanted to, shit like that, right? So like to see a woman do anything like this was pretty much pornography back then, right? So she was essentially like, this was essentially be like watching Kim Kardashian deep throat a dick on Instagram now, right? It would be in that realm of shock value. And I'd say Jessica Chobot was probably this was probably more shocking than seeing Kim Kardashian deep throat a dick on YouTube right now. I'd say this was probably more shocking because of the whole context. Because nowadays people are desensitized to porn and sex and all that, whereas back then it was still this, this it was bigger but lesser at the same time, sex. But Jessica Chobot literally got popular for looking at PSP like that. And then this is her like making fun of it, probably. Like we had when the Vita came out. And she was probably making fun of the picture that got her famous. But yeah, she licked the fucking PSP and that's how she got popular. But yeah, back to the original question, do women like video games? Women would like anything that they think rich men like, or they think that women who can get rich men like. And then after that, they break off into groups of, okay, how pretty do you think you are? And how pretty do you think you are? Do you look pretty enough to do this? And if you're prettier than me, then I don't want to be with you, and because you're going to make me look worse. It branches off into these areas. And like I say all the time, women love to put this shit on. Women love to put this on men. They just say that men are pushing this, but it's really the women who are pushing these groups out. Now, I'm not saying that every woman just genuinely doesn't have some type of like for a video game. I'm not trying to say that, because a woman, can like a video. A woman can like a nice guy, right? But there's many other reasons that will influence why she's actually going to date a nice guy, right? Or why she's not. A lot of it's and most of the time it's usually her socials, her perception of social standing. In most cases, that's going to be the reason why she's going to pick, why she's going to do something and why she's not. Hang on, let me grab this light. If I can get it. Where is it? Here we are. Okay. Yeah, that's a little better, because I don't want to use that light, because that light gets too fucking hot. Did you hear about the prison officer Linda De Sosa Aberberu from UK getting smashed by an inmate, and she was married? Oh, no, I haven't heard about it, but I'm not shocked at all. Because the reason why is because my uncle, the gay uncle I always talk about, he always was, he had so many connections in Dayton, Ohio. But another big thing was, I actually knew a guy's mom who worked in a correctional institute and was sucking an inmate's dick and got caught doing it. And she didn't lose her job. A lot of times, the only reason why they'll end up losing their jobs, at least from my exposure to it, is because too many people found out. Or like somebody leaked that shit and it just got out too far. And especially by the time it starts making like news media, that's when they got to fire you. But if the person didn't get fired, a lot of times they'll just get in trouble. Like, for example, I knew a guy who I grew up with. His mom was a police officer, and his mom caught his dad fucking like a 14-year-old girl, and he never went to jail or nothing. Right? Everybody kept it quiet. But like because our parents were, because the way I found out was because I always, so here's how I found out. When I was a teenager, my aunt had a house on this lake, right? And it was this closed in, it was this gated community. It wasn't like a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful houses, but it was this big gated community in the middle of buttfuck Ohio, right? And we would go up there maybe like once every couple months or something like that, just hang out. It was like a lake house, right? And it had a little boat. It wasn't a big, it wasn't a yacht or anything. It was like, it literally just like a little fucking like, plywood boat kind of thing with a motor on the back. It was, some shit. It wasn't any, it was nothing fancy. But they had a boat. It was cool. Like, I would love to have it. I don't have a boat. I'd love to have it. But I'm just trying to paint the picture of it. And we would go up there. And we always, and so, like, there was always these other adults there. So my dad was friends with, like, the other adults who would be there, right? So I knew the other adults. So it came out, like, just people talking because we all knew that the woman was that the wife was a police officer, and the guy, I don't know what her husband did, but the wife was a police officer. And she was a little butch too. She wasn't feminine at all. She was a little like husky. She was very nice. I'm not trying to make fun of her. She was a very nice woman. I'd love to see her now. I'd love to talk to her now. She knows me. She knows me by first name and everything. She was always very nice. But something happened, and then I can't remember how I was told, but her husband got caught fucking like a 14-year-old girl, right? And it was this big deal. Oh, that's why, because they didn't want to come to the lake anymore. So that's how I ended up finding out. They didn't want to come up there anymore because that happened. So they didn't come for a while. Well, so the lake kind of like died off, and we quit going up to the lake. So we go to my aunt's house, and I see, of course, the two adults. But then I see a friend of mine from a whole nother group of people sitting there with the wife and the husband. And he looks just like both of them. And I never put that shit together. Though I was hanging out with his parents fucking 100 miles away from Cincinnati and never fucking... And then I would come back to Cincinnati and hang out with him. Right? I never put two and two... This is one of them things in life. Right? Just never put two and two together. But yeah, but he never went to jail, never went to prison. It was never... He just kind of really just died off, Nothing ever crazy ever happened, and we still celebrated Christmases together as a group of people, New Year's together, we still did all that. It was never, nothing ever really became of it. But the point I'm trying to make is these things usually don't get like, majorly bad until like the news gets a hold of it, like articles start getting typed up, especially nowadays with names, because nowadays, if this is why I think a person is better off with a felony than to get their name put in, like, the news and shit like that. Let's use, for example, Brock Turner. Y'all remember Brock Turner? Brock Turner was a big deal. Now, Brock Turner did this shit though, but you hear me on where I'm going with this. Brock Turner was this dude from Ohio. He was from like a neighborhood down the street from mine in Dayton, Ohio. Is near Dayton, Ohio. What was that? I'm trying to think of it before I read it. He was from, because I was in Oakwood. I think he because Oakwood was the rich part. Let me read it just to make sure I was right. Because Oakwood was the rich part. I'm just curious to make sure I was right. Yep, there it is. Oakwood High School. Yep. Yeah. Oakwood was okay, here's the thing. Oakwood was the equivalent of Yellow Springs. Right? Like, it wasn't the most beautiful shit, but they had their own closed society with wealth. It wasn't beautiful homes. Actually, that dude who would want me to fuck his wife, that's where they lived. They lived in Oakwood. It wasn't a beautiful area, but I mean, there was some nice houses out there, but it wasn't like a beautiful area, but they had money. It was one of them type. It was a Yellow Springs. Like, if I were to take you to Yellow Springs, you would think like, oh, this is some village shit, right? But until you looked at the price of them houses, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I can't afford this. It's one of them areas. Anyway, back to Brock Turner. Brock Turner raped a bitch behind a trash can at a party, right? in college. And some dudes came and seen him and pulled him off of her. Like his, I think his pants was literally down. Like he was on top of a drunk bitch behind a dumpster at a college party. And the guys came up and, pulled him off her, all that shit like that, right? And she went to campus police, of course, and blah, 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 and, and became a thing, right? And I'm not going to go into because there was some, like, fucked up racial shit. Like, now, people called that racial shit out in Dayton, Ohio, because, like, because they would never show his action. See, this mugshot you see here, they would never show, like, the actual mugshot. See, so for people who know, who are from Ohio, I'm sure somebody might be in here right now, or somebody who may watch this later on in the future, you know what I'm talking about. But if you were from Ohio, Brock Turner was a big deal, because the family they did everything they could to hide this actual mugshot where he looks like, just like a regular borderline trashy dude. And instead, they put out the dressed up suit mugshot, right? And motherfuckers was like roasting him for that. Motherfuckers like they were just flat out, yeah, like, this is racist shit. Like, how are you like no, like, put the actual mugshot up, right? But that was a whole situation in Ohio. But anyway, again, back to the core point. He raped a bitch, right? Now, see, the fact that I can just type his name in and find it, right? The fact I can, like, okay, because he probably got a felony for it. I'm not saying he shouldn't have got a felony for it. I'm not saying he shouldn't have got in trouble for it. But this is the difference of cultures and mentality. Now, especially in the U.S., the fact that I can just type this man's name in, and boom, there's his picture, and you could probably find, and then just, if you go to Wikipedia, see where he's from, then go in that county and look up the sexual registry, and you can find where his address is in North America. See, for those of you outside North America, it's not like this in probably anywhere else on Earth, maybe except for a few places. But North America, once you get on that sexual registry, or once you get just a felony, if you could figure out the county of where that person's from, log on to that county's database, you can find out what they did, potentially see the history of the situation, and if you're on the sex registry, you can get that person's home address that they gotta be at, right? Right? So like now, so it would be now. Well, okay, now since Brock Turner's gonna live in a richer white area, it's gonna be a low chance that a motherfucker's gonna go out there and fuck him up. Now, if Brock Turner had been, DeAndre Willis, now he might, who had to live on the west side, now he might be out there getting fucked up. But Brock Turner, he's in a safe zone with mommy and daddy, so it's a low chance somebody's gonna sneak out. Go out there and stalk him at his house and beat him up and kill him and all that. But the point I'm trying to make is, in America, your home address is out there, right? Whereas, like, in Germany, like, their sexual register, or like, the reason why in Germany, it's the opposite way. And the reason where I learned this was I was watching this one dude. I randomly stumbled on this YouTube guy's channel in Germany, where he had got attracted to, like, a 16-year-old boy that he was teaching. I think he said he didn't fuck him, but he was just attracted to him. So, but he ended up getting in trouble for it, and he ended up going to prison. He ended up getting locked up, and he tried to break out of prison because a buddy of his flew into his prison. I'm not making this shit up. He had a friend of his that flew into prison in a helicopter. Like some fucking Nathan Drake shit, right? He went to the prison in a helicopter, got his buddy out, and they got out, but the helicopter crashed, and he had to go back to prison for like 15 years, some shit like that. I can't remember the dude's name. But the dude ended up moving to Germany. And he said he moved to Germany, he got a job, and he worked his way up, and he got a call from HR, and he's like, oh shit, they found out. So he goes in there, and HR asked him about it, and he said HR was like, wow, like, America still holds you responsible for some shit you did 20 years ago. That's fucked up, right? And he was like completely shocked that how Germany handled that, right? And I say most of Europe is going to be like that on some point. Like, America's the only one that holds you to something that you did 20 years ago. Well, okay, America is the only one that I know of that's actively gonna do it, especially in that way, right? Like, yeah, so, but yeah, the fact that I could type his name in there and just see his address, anybody's name. The dude took the hell. Yeah, Mo. Yeah, what's up, Mo? Yeah, yeah. Hello, my man. Are you good? Are there good bitches out there? Yeah, I'm fucking low on sleep, man. I got like 3 hours of sleep, so I'm gonna be rambling from one topic to the other, sounding like a crazy person. But yeah, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been playing emulators too. I've been playing um, I played Stuntman for the first time today. I actually really like. I had a good time. I played like the first three missions. Had a fun time with it. Oh yeah, back to Kevin. No, oh yeah, yeah. I'm just not like super shocked because that shit happens like all the time. I'm not saying if you go to prison it will happen to you, but I'm saying like in the context of that, like these scenarios are just like are. I'm just not surprised at all. What's up, Javi? Do women in brothels ever make it out, such as relationships or different? Oh, Corey, yeah, Kevin. I was just telling my spouse how I knew that one girl who there's all different types. Just like okay, brothel work is nothing different than being a guitarist in a band or going to school to be an accountant and then realizing 6 months in that you don't want to be an accountant anymore because you actually hate it in real life to feed yourself off of. Brothel work is no different. Brothel work, sex work is no different than any other job in terms of making it out, whatever. Um, I was just telling, like I said, I was just telling my spouse how like some women, they go in there because they just want nicer clothes, and they boyfriend or husband just ain't buying the nicer clothes, whatever. So they leave them and go try to make some more money. Other women, they go and do it because they just low on money, right? And they figure they can make a quick buck, and then other women, they were prostituting before they even knew what the word prostitute even meant. They were just doing it and found out 10 years later that that's what I was doing. I was prostituting. I mean, it's all different. But and then out of those, and even more scenarios, the ones who actually stay for one reason or another, it's there's no you. What I tell my spouse is this: one, you want if you lined up 10 random women in a room, you would never guess which one would be okay for fucking for $50 and which one wouldn't. If you truly got one alone, away from the others, and genuinely talk to them and say like, "Would you do this for $60?" There's no way you can tell. Now, okay, maybe if you brought like Melania Trump in there or something like that, right? She might not be. She ain't gonna. She's just in a higher league of dudes she's fucking with. But like, if you take like just 10 regular old women from the world and stand them up in a room, you would never. You can't look at a woman and tell or feel it on her. Like you would just never know. Um, and then you would never know the ones who can sit down and just keep doing it for as long as they can keep doing it, right? I was telling my spouse that one girl I knew that she had a buzz cut. She had a buzz cut in there, right? And I remember she had gauges in her ear and a buzz cut and tattoos. But she was always cool. She was always cool. Like not just like fake waitressy cool, but we would genuinely have conversations, right? And I remember she told me she was always down because her and her boyfriend was trying to have a baby. Now you gotta remember, and this is a context of a brothel, right? So people are like fucking in there for money. It's no secret, right? It's not like a club where everybody's trying to pretend that's not what they doing, right? A brothel, everything's just out in the open, right? So you can talk a lot more out in the open about shit. So she was telling me how her and her boyfriend she was trying to get pregnant. But she had just had her third miscarriage at the time, I think. Yeah, it was adding up. And then, and she was getting real depressed about it. And then I came down there another time, and then she said, oh, and seen her, and she goes, oh yeah, me and him broke up. Because she had another miscarriage. Because it had been a while. She goes, yeah, I had another miscarriage, and he left me because he was just tired of it. Well, I hadn't seen her it was a little while again before her name or anything came back up. And a friend of mine, he goes, hey, you remember that one girl you be talking to with the bald, with the shaved head? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, she's back there working now. I said, what? She's back there working? He goes, yeah, she's back there prostituting now. Because I remember her mentioning how she wanted to save up money to buy a house. The last time we had spoke, before she was a prostitute, officially, she was saying how she wanted to save up. She wanted to work. She was trying to work a lot of hours to save up to buy her own house. So I walked back there to go see her. And I still remember I was like walking, looking for her. And she was on my left. I remember she was in the door on the left. And as soon as she sees him, she goes, oh, hey. I said, hey, what you doing here? She goes, oh, yeah, I'm just trying to earn more money because I can't make more at the bar. Because, it was like she just remembered all our conversations. And I said, oh, word, and then she wanted to have sex for money, right? And I just couldn't do it because I knew her. Like, I knew her too well, right? I couldn't do it. She was not, she's a good-looking girl. But that girl, she only ended up prostituting for like 6 months or something. Like, she didn't last long at all. And she ended up working she ended up working at just a regular store after that. I was about to say that. I told my girl the store name. I'm not going to say it on YouTube. She ended up just working at just a regular store. She didn't last long because from what I heard, from what I ended up getting, the information I ended up getting was like she just couldn't handle just the lifestyle. Like, some women, they'll get in it and they just can't handle the lifestyle. Others can get into it and it's no problem. Some of them, they just can't handle like the way. Some women just need that more formal approach of that courting phase. Some women need that. Other women they don't need it at all. Some women, they just can just lick their hand, rip their clit, and their pussy just opens right up, right? Some women can just do that. I knew women who were like that. They don't need any of that. Any of that make-believe bullshit. But some get out? Yeah, well, all of them eventually get out. All of them will eventually have gotten some diehard fan that that they know they can get. And here's the thing, others, they'll just approach you and ask you if you got a girlfriend because they trying to move in. So here's the thing too, with the brothel bitches over here, I'm sure it's a bit different than it is in a place like the UK that has brothels. So the women here, more times than not, they're looking for a man to live with. Like, they can't find a man to live with. So if they do find one, if they find one who they can, deal with, like, they'll hop on him for whatever reason. So I've had some girls, like, they just flat out, like, ask me, like, hey, do you have a girlfriend? What are you doing, tomorrow night? Like, they'll do that. Like, it'll happen. And they won't be bad looking girls either. But it's the reality. See that whole being special because you look like Jennifer Chobot. Okay, let's use Jessica Chobot. Oh, I say Jennifer Chobot. Jessica Chobot. See this picture right here, right? Now, she's a little older now because she was popular about 20 years, about 10, 15 years ago on IGN. She was doing the video game reviews, the Daily Fix. See, back then, okay, in America, right, 20 years ago, Jessica Chobot looking like that 20 years ago would have been just, she would have been anything special. She just would have been just another, even in Ohio, she wouldn't have been anything really, really well, maybe with her being dolled up like this, it could have put her over the hump if she was like dolled up. But even then, like, she wasn't like anything special. It was more the fact that she was just, she looked at PSP that passionately on the internet and it went viral. That's what got her popular. But she wasn't of any, every woman's going to have her desperate loser, like, fling themselves at them. Every woman's going to have that, that crowd. But overall speaking, like, okay, there was girls in my high school that looked better than her. Right? Like, I mean, she's cute, but that's about where it stops. Right? Like there's, like I'm not getting ready to go crazy over. I'm not sitting up fantasizing about this bitch. Like she just a skinny bitch, and like she can put on some, some makeup and use soap and water, and hit up a hair salon. That's all it. It's nothing really great about it. But the thing is now, since women in the U.S. have gotten so fat and stupid on average, Jessica Chobot, this type of woman, has now turned into the woman who gets 200 likes in an hour on Tinder, and now and have a distorted sense of ego off of it, and you add that in with the average American woman being obese. And she's a goddess in North America, where you take this same woman and you drop her in. Look, there's badder bitches than her. We're literally at the coffee shop right now down the street. You will see bitches that look better than her stocking shelves in the grocery store out here. Right? Now, leading into can women leave and how well they can leave. And, okay, let's say if Jessica Chobot worked in a brothel out here. She just be just a regular one because she's just skinny, took a bath. That's really all it takes as a woman, and brush her hair. That's all it takes, Add some color on her eyes, something like that, some silly shit like that, and make sure you wear something tight so people can see them tits and see them legs, and that's it, right? It's not hard work. It's not hard. If you're intelligent, it's not difficult. Right, to be an attractive woman, as long as you got certain facial features, given that, but it's not it's not magical or difficult. It's biology, right? So the mentality out here now, this is a good area where Europe's mentality in many ways are stunted in comparison to North America, and this is a way where it works in Europe's benefit. Right? Europe is with women now how America was 25 years ago. Right? Like she wouldn't be anything special out here now. Even in her prime. She is a little cute, don't get me wrong. She's a little cute girl in her prime, but she would be nothing special. And this is a good area where Europe's growth, because America was on that, but America kind of just like kept going, right? Whereas Europe is, and here's if you look at financials, the country development, all this shit, Europe employment rates, Europe has pretty much stagnated since like I want to say around 95. If you look at anything that has to do with economics, country development, anything in these realms, anything in the realm of sociology, Europe has been stagnant for the last 25 years. Right, and it comes out in their clothing options, their brand names, all of this, like technology, all of this has been essentially stagnant for the last, quarter century. Whereas America kept going, but America kind of kept going in the wrong way, and now all women are fat and dumb and think they expect, a prince to come save them. And then this mentality still happens here too, but nowhere near as much. And nowhere near as bold and loud, because women can still be feminine here. 80s nose is more reliable than my weather app. It got so hot, man. It got so hot here that, like, my son got, like, I think he's getting sick from the heat. I've been sick, too. But no, women do make it out of brothels. Every woman's going to have some type of entourage in her Tinder. Every woman's gonna have that. Where she's living, where she's going to eat, where she's getting her nails done. She's got some. Every woman knows a guy's everywhere hovering around her. It doesn't matter how ugly, how old, how fat. None of that. Doesn't matter, dude. Doesn't matter any of that. They're all gonna have everyone from Jessica Chobot to Kathy Bates, right? Let's do this. Kathy Bates. Here's the reality. Here's the reality. Kathy Bates has the same amount of men as Jessica Chobot got hunting around her. The difference is the tier. It's the tier of man and her world that's around her and who she's paying to and who she's not and all that. But they both of them have the same amount. There's no difference. And I like Kathy Bates. I think she's a great actress. I really do. But I'm just speaking in the sense, in the context of the world and sexual attraction. I think Kathy Bates is an excellent actress. But it's the reality of it. Or some bitch on like My 600-Pound Life. Like every woman has the same amount of men in her realm of awareness. The numbers don't change. If a woman is skinny and takes care of her skin, automatic 6'7" America. Yeah. And I would say, yeah. And I say, and Mo, you out there in the West Coast where women look a little better. I'm out in Ohio. I would say if a woman's just skinny and takes care of her skin, yeah, I'd say 7 to 8 in Ohio. That's how bad Ohio is. But it's just wild how times change, man. It's so wild how times change. And there was this Facebook thing I seen. I even commented on that. It was this woman, this girl at college, right? And this girl, I just deleted Facebook too, so I would find it, but I don't know how to find it now. But it was this guy. He approached this guy and this girl at college. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube for the off chance. Friend zone, because they were on the street. It was like some shit like this, but they was clearly at a college campus. Yeah, it's gonna be way too much of this shit. But it was this girl who, okay, let's just use this girl as an example. The one in the black, right? Let's use the one in the black as an example. Right? Here's the thing. I would say back when I was in high school, can you guys see, because I would use, hang on, how many views? This got 29, and this was 9 years ago, shit. Okay, so let's use, let's just play this on mute, and we just gonna, because what I want to talk about has nothing to do with what they gonna say. What I want to talk about is the physical quality of woman and how bad it's gotten in North America since I was in high school, right? To where women can be out talking like this on camera and not be embarrassed about it because of how, because they think they are, Tinder has warped women's minds, right? So I'll just start with these women right here. Now, the one in the middle could get away with some shit. Let me make this bigger. That's what she said. The one in the middle could get away with. The one in the middle would have, in high school, when I was in high school, would have been she would have been at the top of the hierarchy of girl because she's white, skinny, preppy dress and all that, and her face is a decent proportion, whatever, right? The one in the middle, get away with it. The one on the left, you could probably get a blowjob out of her at a party because her self-esteem's low because she ain't as pretty as the one in the middle. But she's still not, the one on the left is not a bad looking girl, but she's not as pretty as the one in the middle. Now the one on the right would never ever even stand close to them other bitches. And the reason why I say that is, you see her nose? She got a big ass nose. See, when I was in high school, that nose alone by itself would have been enough to deduce her a good at minimum 1.5 right? To where she could no longer hang out. She would not want anything to do. She would have never stood next to the girl in the middle for no reason at all back when I was in high school. Ever. Tinder, it's a mixture of Tinder, online dating. Let's just use social media online dating, right? It's a mixture of that's warped women's perception on top of these cheaper alternatives and readily accessible fashion, right? See these fucking Sheins, these fucking Zaras, these fucking H&Ms or whatever, all this cheap ass bullshit has the girls, and then these cheap makeups has these girls thinking that they are fashion. They think they're fashion models compared to what women were like when I was in school. Right? See, all this has warped their fucking brains to where they feel comfortable standing out here just talking like this. Okay, so right here. Okay, you see, let me hang on. Now, let's do this. Let's just, oh shit. See, now, 20 years ago, neither one of these girls, you could not, they wouldn't even, okay, these were the types of girls who were happy to be in the friend zone 20 years ago, all right? These bitches want to sit up debating what is the friend zone and how do I do it. There are guys in the friend. No, these women were the ones who would be lucky to be put in a friend zone. Fat dudes would be like, no, I'm cool. Here's the thing. 20 years ago, if a fucking 250-pound, 5'8" dude in high school, right, that motherfucker, he would have fucked around and rejected these bitches 20 years ago. He'd have been, you know what I'm saying? And these girls would walk around their feelings hurt. Like, because there wasn't no Tinder. There wasn't no Tinder to rescue them. Right? 20 years ago, dude. The most typical loser fat dude who thought he was a loser because he was fat, he would have, probably smelled and shit like that. He would have rejected him. Right? And now these bitches sitting out like leisurely in the park just talking about. They wouldn't look 20 years ago. They wouldn't these physical quality. They would have never had the courage to talk like this out loud. This Tinder got them all liberated because they know somebody's hounding them for their pussy. 20 years ago, they didn't really know guys was like hounding them like that. They were still getting hounded for pussy by some random dude on the low, but like they had no idea they were, they had no source of being able to go. I mean, all these guys liked my picture. They didn't have this 20 years ago, so this wasn't a thing. Yeah, I will put her in a similar boat. She's clean and all that. But look, this same girl, I mean, she's cute. But cute now versus cute 20 years ago meant completely different realms of what cute was. Right? Like, nowadays, a motherfucker look at her and say, oh, she should be a model in North America. 20 years ago, hell no, she ain't no model. You already know 20 years ago wasn't even a question. She is not a model. The guys now who are used to American women in North America will look at her and say she's a model. Absolutely fucking not. No. Maybe a hand model, some shit like that. She might have a nice body, but her face, look, 20 years ago, and motherfuckers was open about it 20 years ago. This is another girl. This is another girl you'd have fucked around and got a blowjob at a party. And it wouldn't have been like, it wasn't like something, it wasn't a victory to do it. She was just at a party, and since she didn't have Tinder, nobody was hitting up her DM, so her self-esteem was low. and now she gonna suck off any dick she can find. You know what I mean? Like, it was some shit. Like, see, nowadays that whole reality check on women just isn't there, because Tinder's there now, online dating and social media is there, right? Okay, there was a let me find that. What was that? There was one that I did want. Was it Seventh Heaven? Was it Mall Cop? It was this one scene that I seen on Facebook. Is this it? Yeah, I think this. Yeah, this is it. Yeah. So I'll probably get copyrighted for this shit. I don't watch Seven. I never did watch Seventh Heaven, but I watch like a copyrighted for this shit. So the girls like this mall cop, and this is a perfect example of where the physical qualities were at 20 years ago, right? Look at the quality of the girls, and look at the dude mall cop. They was on him, right? Like, they was on him. Him. I mean, he just a regular old dude. He just had he just had courage to talk out loud. And them bitches was on him. Look, she over there talking to him and smiling and shit. That was 20, 30 years ago. But I think in reality, she was probably like 16 or something like that. And they was probably mad because he was a little older. But even with that, man, like, I'm not advocating, messing with underage girls. But this shows you the reality of what things were 20 years ago. 20, I say 30, 20, 25, 30. This dude now would have to get super lucky to have some good swagger for especially where American women ended up. Now here he could still, get around, but in North America he'd have some problems. Being a mall cop now in North America. This dude right here, this shows you the fact. Here's the thing. The fact that a television show looked at him and said, you should be the love interest. You should be the love interest for this. The fact that the TV show developed creators, the crowd who was watching that shit said, yeah, that's a good idea. That matches. That works. That tells you where the mentality was 20 years ago. See, 30 years ago, before social media was a thing and women got their heads hyped and the internet done warped their brains and all this crazy shit. A mall cop was pulling her and it was totally fine, right? That shit is totally fine. And see, look, that's what it was fucking 20 years. Now, okay, again, I don't know how old they technically are on the show, so I'm not advocating like under, but what I'm getting at is that's what it was when I was working in malls, right? When I was working in malls, you could approach women and talk to them. You could, that's how you did, because there was no online dating to hide behind, right? And on top of that, like, the women, like I said, they always had their entourage, but they didn't have this okay, even when a woman had her entourage, right? Even when every woman's gonna have her simps everywhere she goes. But the fact that the simps could not directly message her on the internet or on Facebook or Instagram or whatever the fuck, Snapchat, and the fact that they just had to get lucky and hope she just picked up the phone or hope that, essentially that, just hope she picked up the phone, if they even got her phone number, if they even worked up the courage to get her phone number, right? With women, it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. So, like, 20, 30 years ago, when a woman had 30, okay, back then she probably even had 30 cents, probably more like 8 to 12 cents, right? She only really seen and acknowledged them when she got caught having to talk to them, right? So it was really more of a nuisance from that perspective, because women are shy cowards, right? They never want to actually be in the here and now accomplishing anything. It's the man's job to do that. But now with online dating, women can just hide behind a telephone or hide behind a laptop and just communicate through that. So now she just has just copious amounts of simps messaging her good morning, good night, can I send you money on an internet app, all this silly shit. And women's brains, they're just melted. They're just ruined now, like, because they're just done. Brotherwise, Ohio's finest 20 years ago. Mr. What's up, Jimmy Walker? Yeah. But yeah, that was back when you could just approach a girl. I still think about this one girl all the time. I still think about her. There was this one girl she was my type too. This was, I was living in Dayton, so this is about 15 years ago. But I still think about this and remember it. Like, remember, like, everything that happened. She was my type, and I was still a little scared to talk to her. Just because she was perfectly my type. Me and my friend, now it was definitely a girl. I know where the joke's gonna come in. A buddy of mine kept talking, he kept saying, go to the gay club. Go to the gay clubs because that's where all the good. That's where all the better looking women go. Because the better looking women would not go to straight clubs because they would get hounded by all the guys. So all the better looking girls, like from college and everything, they would go to the gay clubs. And Dayton was called the Mask. Let me see if it's still open. It was called the Mask back in the day. Back in the day, 15 years ago. It was called. This was a gay club we used to go to. It's called the Mask. Dayton. What they call it? Club Mask now? Yeah, Jefferson Street. This is it. Let me look up. Yeah, this is. I can see this picture right here. I remember that stage. This is it right here. I'm trying to find like the actual website. If they got a website. Is it just called Club Mask? Yeah, see now it's probably just like gay for real. Like yeah, like it's probably just gay now. But back then it was. He kept saying, "Wendell, go to Mass because that's where all the pretty girls from school are going." And for the longest time, I just kept saying like, "No, I'm not going to a gay club. Get the fuck out of here!" Right? I would just. Oh, it's not available in European countries. I kept saying, "No, I'm not going. I'm not going to a gay club. It's crazy, right?" So finally, one time, I said, "Fuck it," and went with him. And boy, was he right. Right? I was shocked. At first, I was like, "This motherfucker, I'm gonna fuck him up," right? Because at first it was looking gay as fuck, right? But then, but you had to go upstairs, and that's where like the dancing was at, and it's darker and all that. And sure enough, all the girls from school were in there, right? That I had known for a while. They were in there. That's where they were going. I remember I took my little cousin there one time, and he was in love with this one girl I knew. Her name was Sam. Sam, I told a story about Sam a long time ago. Because Sam was sexy as fuck, but she was like my little sister. So I just had nothing for her. But I could look at her body and say, like, yeah, she was like, she was next level back then, right? And she was like that, damn near like that Prince of Persia shit, Warrior Within. She was built like that bitch on there with the tits and the ass. She was built like that. But she was brown. She was like light brown, and she was like some type of Spanish or something. Because I remember when I first met Sam, I was sitting behind her in this class randomly, and she just took to me. Like, she just started talking to me and took to me and was like, she just took to me. So, but I was older than her, so I just felt like she was like my little sister. So I was just always cool with her. If we text and call, we was just cool, and I, throw away type of thing, that type of thing. But she was a really good looking girl. I remember I took him there, and I said, "Oh yeah, that's Sam. You like Sam?" He goes, "Yeah, Wendell." He was like, "I like Sam." He was like crazy about her. But I told a story about Sam. Sam ended up getting fat as fuck. She ended up like unrecognizable. Like when I came back from Europe the first time, I went to Verizon Wireless, and I seen this creature waddle from the back desk and like try to like, but I noticed the creature kept trying to hide its face. So I put together like Sam knew that she got fat and she felt ashamed for me to see, probably because I think she probably had a crush on me for real, but she knew she got fat and I think she didn't want me to see her because we were friends on Facebook and I was in Europe and she would tell me how she was trying to get a job working at Abercrombie and Fitch. That's what it was. Oh, I hope I just fuck. I hope motherfuckers don't find her. But she was going to the UK working at Abercrombie and Fitch, which I always knew was kind of a load of bullshit because like why would they fly you from North America to the UK to work at Abercrombie and Fitch? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. She was cool. And so when I came back from Europe, I didn't say anything. I just came back. I just went in to get a new SIM card for my phone. And it was her. And she had, like, all the pictures she was posting were definitely from, like, years ago. Because she looked good in them pictures. I mean, she didn't look good at the time. And that was sad. That was rough. But she was cool. Oh, but the girl that was my type in the gay club. It was this white girl, man. And she was just perfectly. I mean, she just took to me, dude. She took like, she just kept holding my hand, and she was really. It was like that girl thing, like you know how girls when they really like you, like they start looking up to you and just staring at you and won't stop staring, kind of thing. She was just into me, and I can't remember how, but I took her number. Maybe I never called her or something. I don't know, but I just lost track of her. But I always remember that girl. I still feel bad about that. I went to a gay bar. You will definitely get dudes looking you up and down in the restroom, but just be cool because you will turn the women off if you get defensive. Yeah. Because, man, yeah, the straight clubs is where all the, like, I don't go to a lot of clubs, but when I did go to clubs, the straight clubs was where more of the fights and the shootings would break out. The gay clubs is where it was really like those were by far more safe to go to back then. Like I said, see, this was back before being gay was cool, or at least was trying to be pushed as being cool. Like, and I'm not saying it's not cool, but you like in society's terms, like this was back before like the gay pride was in any way, shape, or form acceptable. Like a motherfucker, like if you came in the room and you was feminine, motherfuckers would immediately start laughing at you and try to hand you paper to see how you would lift your hand up to pick it up and shit. Like motherfuckers would immediately like target you, which was fucked up. But this was back in those years, right? So I don't know how gay clubs are now in North America because it's been a long time since I've even been in the U.S. But back then, it was definitely a much better place to go than a straight bar. Because every time I go out to a straight bar, a straight club, it was just a matter of time before either some woman he was just walking around looking cunty and starting some shit, or some guy ended up getting mad and tried to show off in front of a woman and try to get into a fight because he's frustrated. It was always just a matter of time before something like that would happen. So, like, the straight clubs were just not... And that's probably a big reason why I never liked clubs overall, was probably because I kept trying the straight clubs, and that would always end up happening there. On top of that, loud music and, all that. Because I still remember I was doing laundry. I was at the laundromat. And there was this girl in the laundromat who kept staring at me. And she was a cute girl. And I remember she kept walking past me and kept staring at me. This was in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is when I came back from college the first time. When I fucked up. I didn't flunk out. I didn't have any money to keep going. So I had to come back home. I was living with my dad, and I would go to the laundry. I went to the laundromat to do laundry, because I think for some reason our washing machine was broke or something, so we had to go to the laundromat. And it was this girl. She kept walking by staring at me, so I ended up talking to her, and she ended up being like, again, this is before online dating, all this. It was just a different world, man. And we ended up becoming cool. And she was a lesbian, and she invited me over to her house. So she was the girl. Her girlfriend was the man. Her girlfriend was the one who was going out working and providing for her. And they invited me over, and we would just hang out, dude. I would just go over there, and they was gay, and it was just me. It would just be me and them two, and we would just hang out. Like that was just what it was. And they had this friend who was a hussy. She was the sexy hussy that would just go and sleep in the other room, and we would all just hang out. And I was the only guy there. It was me, the two lesbians, and the hussy, and and we would just hang out, right? And I remember they took me to a gay club. Actually, no. The first time I went was with them because this is before I went to college the second time. It was because we went to Kentucky. It was a gay club right across the river. Like, so if you're in Cincinnati, for those the few people who may be in Cincinnati, it's not the main bridge, but the one to the right of the main bridge. It's like a more like off part of Kentucky. That's where we went, and there was a gay club somewhere down in there. And the first thing I noticed was like, wow. Everybody is nice and they're smiling and saying hello and they're and being courteous and getting along and people are saying excuse me. I'm like, wow, this is actually not like too bad, right? It was really shocking. And but yeah, and it was really just again, but this was 20 years ago, man. So I have no idea what it's like now. Could have changed. I don't know. I don't know. If you don't mind gay guys hitting on you or try to kick. Oh, dude, Anthony, man, I always end up getting a gay dude hitting on me. It always happens, man. I'm used to it now. I'm used to it. I was just telling a story to somebody. Like, who was I talking to? I was just telling a story to somebody. Um, I still remember when I was in college when I started to actually succeed in college on accident when I was doing the biotech degree. Um, so my first acting partner was this dude from Wright State. It was the same college Nicole Scherzinger went to actually from Pussycat Dolls. She went to Wright State. Now, to the college I was going to at the time, Wright State was like it's a big school. It's a big, nice school. So he still had his dorm at Wright State, but he had I think he had either flunked out of Wright State or something, but he wasn't going to Wright State, but he kept his dorm at Wright State. But he was going to Sinclair to the community college where I was going and acting, and I was his first acting partner, so we were always friends off of that because we both acted together, type of thing. So essentially, I was Wolverine and he was Deadpool, kind of thing. Like he wouldn't shut the fuck up. He was just always acting goofy, and I'm like Wolverine. I'm like, shut the fuck, dude, just shut the fuck up. You're not saying anything, right? But we were cool, right? So I remember we would go, me and the acting class would go to his dorm and hang out. Nice place, a real nice place. And I remember one night I ended up just walking around, and I ended up walking into this random house to a house party, right? And this dude was standing by the door, and I'll never forget this. He was standing by the door smoking a cigarette, and he just looks at me and goes, "Yeah, I'd suck his dick." It's like talking to me. Right? He was dead serious. Right? And there was no joke in that shit. He was fucking serious. Like, it was no joke. But I was just telling somebody about that story not too long ago. But yeah, I'm used to it. It always happens, man. Like, I just got used to it at this point. I mean, sometimes I'm a little hesitant to hang out with new guys because it always ends up kind of going there in some way. So I'm kind of hesitant for that. But you know what? Like, yeah, okay. I'm not going. Okay, I can understand how I can be attractive. Like and it has nothing to do with how I look because I don't think I'm a good looking person. I really don't. In fact, I got what's it called? That body dysmorphia shit. I really have that. Because I never own mirrors. If I own mirrors, I usually hide them. And my girl never even noticed. But I always, if I had, to this day, I still, unless it's like a bathroom mirror, like I will hide. I got a mirror behind my wardrobe right there. I will hide. To this day, I still don't like even looking at myself in the mirror. It's like I body dysmorphia. Like I just see like the worst shit ever. But I can understand how I can be desirable because I ended up watching something. I can't remember who I was watching, but it was a girl, and she had like her attitude, she had like charisma and attitude like me. And that's when I was like, oh, I get it now. Like I get how somebody can be attracted to me because she had the same thing that I had, right? And then I could see it, right? Which sounds fucking stupid, but that's honestly what happened. I could see it. I could immediately. That's what made me see it from a personality standpoint. But I can be an asshole. I can be a racist. I can be a cunt. Just depends on what time you catch me. I'm definitely not perfect. Here's the thing. When it comes to being an asshole racist, like, my thing is just own it. I think Hitler was fucking awesome. From Mein Kampf, I think Hitler was getting about halfway through Mein Kampf. I thought he was an awesome dude because he owned it, right? The dude owned it. If you like, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with a bad guy, with a racist, nothing like that, as long as they have some peace within themselves about it, right? Like, cool. Like, be fucking racist, be an asshole. As long as I can tell that you genuinely have some peace about it, and you're not just taking some misplaced sense of anger out on somebody, right? Like Cartman. Like, I love Eric Cartman because it's just him. He's a fucking racist. He's a racist piece of shit. And I love Cartman. He's my favorite character on South Park because it's not misplaced anger, nothing like that. It's just him, right? And I love Cartman for that shit. I love Archie Bunker. I was watching Archie Bunker on YouTube, and there was an episode where the black dude where his wife puts a picture next to his chair with, I think it was his daughter and a black man, right? In the photograph. And he goes and sits down on the chair. and you can, because it's the angle, you can see it. It's a beautiful show. It was the angle, because you can see him and you can see the picture, right? And as soon as the camera panned over and you see the picture with the black dude in the picture, he was like, oh, here we go. So he goes down and sits down and gets his shit together, and he just looks up like, you see the black dude in the picture. And like, you gotta love Archie Bunker. You gotta love him, like, cause it's just him. Now, to be fair, to cover up Archie's tracks, if some real shit were to happen, Archie would do the right. He would for real do the right shit, right? Like, Archie really did have a sense of reality, a true sense of empathy when shit really hit the fan. Like, I remember there was one episode where, because he was a higher up at a plant or at some type of plant, and one of his managers had fired a Mexican dude, right? And so Archie goes, "Why did he fire the Mexican? The Mexican dude he was always doing his work, and he was on time. Like, why did he fire him?" So he called the man, his one of his managers, and he said, "Well, why'd you fire the Mexican guy?" He goes, "Yeah, because we don't like Mexicans." And at first Archie's like, "Oh yeah, I get it, but why'd you fire him?" He goes, "Yeah, because he's a fucking Mexican." And then Archie goes on, "Well, was he doing his job? Was he there on time?" He goes, "Well, yeah, he was, but we just don't like his type." And Archie got rid of the manager, right? So when shit would get real, he would do the right thing. He would do, he had a sense of balance in the universe, real balance. Right? Now, Cartman, on the other hand, is just a bad person, but you gotta love him for it. Like, I think you gotta love him for it. Cartman, that last episode, it was that movie where all them bitches was getting that. They was taking that drug to make themselves lose weight. And Cartman wanted the drug, but he couldn't afford it. Right? So at first Cartman was walking around sad, like, hey, I just want to be skinny, but I can't afford the drug. And at first you feel sorry for him. But it's Eric Cartman, right? He never does anything for a righteous reason. Anything for a righteous reason. So they wouldn't the Cartman's dream, like his dream of why he actually wants to be skinny. Because he wanted to fly to Pakistan and make fun of them for being Pakistani and being brown and all that, right? So, and the reason why he wanted to be skinny was because once he could make fun of people, they couldn't make fun of him back for being fat, right? And that was the whole reason why he wanted to lose weight. It had nothing to do with being healthy. He just wanted to make fun of people. And I thought, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful fucking. I think it's beautiful. I did frequent warehouse parties. Oh, Anthony, I didn't even know that was a real thing. Those warehouse parties, like in The Simpsons. I didn't know that was real. So wait, AD, all the women that you've been with didn't have you think you're physically decent. Well, here's the thing. Like, I have low self-esteem. Grave rave. I have low self-esteem. I'm like Patrice O'Neal. My self-esteem is so low, it ends up being high because because it's to a point where it's really difficult to hurt me on a self-esteem level, right? Like, it's really hard to do it because I lost my hair in patches when I was 15 in high school. I, either made fun of or people were too afraid to make fun of me because they knew it was a serious topic kind of thing. So my mom died at 15. I had, and then on top of that, kids in high school or you go to like any hood, like they definitely gonna roast you for being bald in any hood, right? There is not one hood you go to as a 15-year-old boy with bald spots and not get they won't care. They just gonna make fun of you, right? They don't give a fuck, right? So pretty much from the age of 14, I was pretty much like I was almost in the same realm of like how Eminem was getting treated when he was a kid, except I wasn't getting jumped. Mostly because I would always end up randomly making friends with like the popular people on accident. It would never be on purpose. So what ended up getting me through high school was a couple of things that got me through high school. But I would still get roasted when I would be like alone. I would always have to be with somebody kind of thing. But what got me through high school was there was one popular kid. He ended up moving down the street from me and we became friends. And the fact that I was with him always got me into getting jobs, got me going to house parties because I was friends with him. His name was Lavelle. Lavelle was a cool guy in high school, right? And so when we became, like I said, he ended up moving to he ended up moving to my neighborhood in high school, and that's so when I was cool with him. He got me through. There was another guy who used to make fun of me. His name was Alonzo, right? And he used to make fun of me. And then the topic came. I think some kind of way we were sitting at the lunch table, and I said I was rapping, right? And he started roasting me for rapping. Started making fun of me. Said I couldn't rap, whatever, blah blah. So I went to my friend's house and made a diss track about him. And I brought it to school. And it went viral in the school. Like, bad. For him. like bad. So that's what kind of... So when I made that track about him, that's what put me on the map for rapping. And on top of that, making fun of somebody so bad that people were making copies of it in the school. to the point where like we would go sit at like a random desk and you would either look in that little under part where where you put your books at, and it would be scratched up CDs because he was finding them and scratching them up so people couldn't play them anymore because I roasted him back then with if I let me try to remember what I said because it was on the Eminem beat on Role Model. Because I said in high school we thought he was cool and thought he was smart. That's why he's outside of IGA pushing shopping carts. He's 17, 18. He's 17, 3 kids and no life. Why do you think he wanted to stab himself in the head with a cold spike? Probably because he failed 3 times to hang out with his friends and got his ass whooped till he found out that he had hands. His teenage years, he had 2 sons and a daughter, but he doesn't claim her because he swears that he nutted water. And something like, it was some shit like, but it was on the Role Model beat, and it was flowing with that, and it went viral, dude. And it like, it was like, so he never said anything to me after that, dude. Never. And he was just, after that, he was even, I remember when we did, so Alonzo ended up becoming friends with another friend of mine after I started hanging out with Lavelle. So years later, me and another friend of mine named Brian, Alonzo was actually awkward to come around me after that. I remember because we were riding a car. He was always real awkward to me after that. But he would always make fun of me before I made that CD about him. But after that, he was always real awkward. He became a human to me now, kind of thing. All this. It was really, it was weird. But even then, I was still getting made fun. Like I said, you go to the hood and you're not around Lavelle or, anything like that, I'm going to get roasted, right? So my self-esteem, I was always reminded that I was fucked up at some point, right? I was always reminded. Now, due to how my head looked, I showed you guys alopecia last week. Due to how my head looked, when I shaved my head, it had got to be like something like that, right? But what happened was when I shaved it, some girls back then they thought it was a tattoo, so they ended up liking me for it, right? But my self-esteem was already so hit because I went bald after having like literally like braids. Right? Like an afro and braids. So it was even worse. So my self-esteem after being roasted and all that, it was so low that I just couldn't even accept a girl could like me for years. So now, the bald, I'm going on 40. So like it fits in, better at 40 than it does at 15. But yeah, so my self-esteem is just so low from all that time period. I've always just accepted like I was fucked up. So I used to think I had a small dick. Even though I would be watching porn and see a dude and who's a porn star and see that my dick is bigger than his, I would still think I had a small dick just because my self-esteem was just that low, right? I guess, I've always been in good shape. I always had 6-pack abs, not necessarily due to working out, just because of body chemistry. But I just never seen myself as desirable. Never. There was a quick moment probably between 14 and 15, before I went bald. I see myself as desirable, but I never see myself as likable or desirable. Even now, I just think I don't see myself as desirable until I see somebody else who, who's openly talking, like me. Then I'm like, oh, I see it now, but when I'm off on my own, I don't see it at all. Like, literally at all. He was Eminem and he was Benzino. Yeah. The popular kids would take me sometimes literally by accident. Mario, yeah. Your stream when you said you don't go to white supremacy websites and tell them how to maneuver was funny. Where I vaguely remember that, Javi. Vaguely remember that. How do you think a man should handle finances in the household? Should he go 100% on bills or split? Split on some form. Here's the thing. Even if you make a job, even if you have a job where you making six figures and she got a job making like 20,000 a year, something like that, or wherever country you in that relative situation, make her do something. The number one mistake I see is when men end up is when the woman is not cooking or cleaning or nothing on her own, and the guy's paying for shit and giving her credit cards and all. That's a number one mistake I always see that guys that fall into like pretty fast. I mean, every relationship's gonna have its problems and dynamics, but but especially if you're dealing with a modern Western woman, chances are she's not gonna know how to cook. Cleaning is going to be torturous for her. Now my girl will cook, and my girl has always cooked and cleaned, done laundry, everything like that, right? She's always been the type to, to just, she'll just go in the kitchen. If anything, she gets on my fuck. We just had an argument about this, not an argument, but I exploded on her about this, right? She's the type. She's like my dad. Like she has to be moving. Right? She's worse than my dad, though. My dad is bad, but she's worse than my dad. Like my dad, I mean, he's not bad. Okay, for me, he's bad. I'm like my mom. My mom was the type of person, she can stay in that bed all day and not get out the bed. And this is before smartphones. She died before smartphones came out. Right? She just watched TV or do a crossword puzzle or something like that. She was that type of person, and she would only leave the bed if she had to go to work or use the bathroom or take a bath, something like that, right? And as I got older, I turned into my mom. And now my son is turned into me, because now he's starting to just when he's here, he'll just lay in the bed just like me, and we started laughing about it. Oh, but while I exploded on her. Well, I didn't explode on her. Well, I exploded on her later because she just keeps moving. Right? She keeps cooking something, she keeps cleaning something, she keeps picking something up, dropping something, shifting something, shaking something. It's always a fucking noise. And it's infuriating, especially on some mornings where I'm just not. When I wake up, I'm ready to sit there and fucking chill for about 2 hours. That's my lifestyle. I don't get up and rush. All right? When I wake up, I'm going to be in that same spot for about 2 hours before I figure, unless I got to pee, something like that, right? She gets up. Her mentality is, I got to get up and I got to be moving. And that shit annoys the fuck out of me, dude. It annoys the fuck. She's cooking, cleaning, shifting, shaking, moving something. It's this constant fucking noise. And I try to tell her that, look, many men are most happy when there's as least moving parts as possible. Right? Just don't, because the more moving parts there is, the more chances you're going to break something. Right? Stop moving. Just chill. Just chill the fuck out. Right? So she got up that morning and kept doing, and then she's getting in with my son. He's because he's 2, he's gonna get up and he just wakes up fucking doing a fucking Indy 500 in this fucking flat, right? He just wakes up on this shit, full tank of gas, primed engine, ready to go, right? So he's a kid. I can't be mad at him, but she's always been like that. So I just woke up that morning. It was one of those mornings I just wasn't on it. I just took a shower and left. Didn't say anything. Right? Then she's all sad because I didn't say anything when I left. She done took it way too personal, like a woman always does. But here's the thing. Back to the 100% on the bills are split. The reason why I say split is even with her, women need something to do. They're like children. This is another way women are like children. She needs something to do. See, as a man, you can just go over there and sit on that throne and make about 8 chess moves in your head for that day on what to do, and then that's it. Especially as you start getting older. Men, you gonna start playing chess. You gonna sit on that throne or lay in the throne, whatever, and make about between 4 to 8 chess moves in your mind of what you're gonna do that day, and that's it. Now, if you just want to go jogging or something like that, that's fine. But you see what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to, we're not, some guy, well, like, my dad, he's the type, he always has to be like traveling. He has to get in the car and go somewhere, right? Like, he's always been that. And I used to be like that when I was younger. But when it comes to women, like, the women, they really need something to do. So when it comes to splitting, I'm not saying you don't have to split it just because you need her to split the bill, but split it to give her some type of responsibility, like a child. Give her something to do, to occupy her mind. Have you dated other chicks while you're with your? No, because honestly, Mario, before I met her, I had slowed down a lot. I was seeing one girl talking to another girl in the early phases when we first started meeting up. But I was looking for somebody to just sit down with, honestly. Well, I remember I had gotten real lonely around the age of around when I got close to 30. I remember I started getting real lonely, like actually lonely, not just like wanting a girlfriend. But I remember I was getting close to 30 when I was like, okay, like I really want somebody, kind of thing. And then that's when I went to Argentina, and then I came here. But yeah, when we first started dating, it was two other girls, and it was at like the dude I covered his video a while back. It was a scenario where like yeah, you would spend a night with one to go hang out with another one in the daytime kind of thing. It was that kind of rotation, like how he was doing. I covered that video about 2 weeks ago. I can't remember his name, the Ronin Man or something like that. He was saying that he had done that. I had the same setup like that. Um, but no, when I met her, like I was really like I was on I was totally on the path to just sit down with one person. But here's the thing, like I wouldn't even. So okay, I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but one of my friends is a swinger, right? They swing. Him and his wife. Well, I knew a few couples like that, but this is the first one that I've really became cool with. And I mean, because we hang out at least once a week, we hang out somewhere. Um, and and I told my girl, and I told him, I think his wife is just beautiful, right? There is no shortage of men who would drink her bath water, all right? There is no shortage of men who would drink her bath water, and I think she's beautiful. And we were talking, and he was asking, well, what do you think about, because I think from how he was saying, I think she's down to hook up with me, but I told him like, yeah, I just couldn't do it, because I think they were down. He wants to hook up with my girl, and she wants to hook up with me, or at least that's where it started. Who knows where things have turned now? Maybe she lost interest in me. I don't know. You never know. But at the time, it was sounded like it was leaning in that direction by our talks. And I told him, I said, yeah, dude. Like, one, I couldn't have sex with your wife because I know you too well now. So now I'm going to be thinking about you the whole time I'm fucking her, right? Right? Because it's just you're damn near like he's not like a brother, but he's like a brother, right? It's that thing. So it's like a family thing. Like I said, I've never fucked a friend's girlfriend after they broke up. I've never done any of that. Once, if I'm cool with you, like I could never fuck your girlfriend or wife. Like she's forever like my sister now, and I've always been like that. I've always been like that. Um, Um, but yeah, beautiful girl. But I told you, I told him, everybody knows that I think she's beautiful. But I couldn't, we can hang out. We bumped into him on the tram a couple. We bumped with my son. We bumped it because they had their dog, and we just happened to get on that tram they was on, and we all and she, my spouse spoke with his spouse, and we just talked the whole time riding the tram all the way up here because they live not too far from here. Real cool dude, real great guy actually. I binge watch Ronan Man's videos thanks to you, AD. I love his channel. Word up on Nasty. That's cool. If you wasn't with your girl now, what do you think you'd be doing or situation you'd be in? That's a hard thing to answer, man, because now we have a baby. He's not a baby anymore. He's a little boy now. But actually, I gotta go sign a paper for a school tomorrow. Um, that's a hard question because we got a kid now, so it's like it's just too hard to even imagine life, without a child, without a child, without it's just too hard to imagine life. Like what I really done. There's no, because especially in my position, there's no way to tell because a couple weeks ago a friend of mine came down to visit me from Germany, and soon as I went to go get him at the bus stop. He rode a bus from relatively deep in Germany. He said it was just that much cheaper to do it, so he did it. As soon as I meet the guy, he's going on about, yeah, man, I got this teaching job, and they sending me out to Bahrain and Seoul, and they paying his rent's like $3,600 a month, and he had a 4-bedroom flat, and he telling me, yeah, man, you should come on, like I'll get you on, blah blah blah. Like I got a 2-year-old now, I can't just get up and and do that. I guess I mean I probably could if I really tried, but I don't really want to do that. I mean, I do, but I don't. So like, because like now with my friends being like all around the world, and then with the ability to just like go anywhere and teach, like, you know, it's possible to go anywhere in the world now and teach. From my perspective, there's just no telling, And then on top of that, with YouTube and guys on here, they're all around the world and all different walks of life. I've met guys from YouTube who are from Jesus Christ, it's just so many different walks of life. Here's the thing. The people I've met off YouTube, even with my small channel, are from just so many different walks. It just wouldn't even be believable. It just wouldn't even be. It's just not. It's just completely unbelievable. Guys who are poor and struggling. Guys who were poor and struggling and hit a jackpot. Guys who work in some of the crazy. I'm not gonna say any names, but what I remember. I still tell my dad this one story. I just told him the story a few days ago. I remember one guy I spoke to in a video chat. And he's like, he's into my channel. I said, hey, I'm a fan of what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking. And this dude, let's just put this. This dude is working near and around people that I could never even dream of going in that room. like, I'm like, dude, you watching me? And you out here doing this shit? How did you even find my little channel? And there's been times I've been starstruck. I'm like, how the fuck? Hit that zoom button and be like, I didn't know it was you. It's crazy. It's crazy how the world works. Like I'm a fan of Ha Davis. I'll show you his videos on YouTube. He made these comedy videos I always used to like. But he was hanging out with Snoop Dogg. He'd be like, guard. I haven't kept up with him for a while now. Oh, he has a full movie. he says he. Let me find this shit. These comedy skits. Oh.
I'm finna be a breeze.
That was it. That was his tag. Like he always go. It would always be something that like he was always trying to do something. You're like, yeah, I'm getting ready to go sign up for the military, get this quick paycheck. This finna be a breeze, right? And then all of a sudden he'd be like, yeah, get your ass to war, motherfucker. He'd be like, I ain't come here for all that. I just came here for the check.
My first time telling on somebody, the rest of my time finna be a breeze. Since you want to snitch, I'm gonna make you my bitch. Hold on. Toot that ass up. I know what you been through, but I ain't coming for all that. You looking like an almond joy, and your new name finna be Baby Boy. Smoke your last cigarette before I be in that. Toot that ass up. Who made you like that? Big fella, don't bore me. I'm horny. You ain't going for no games. God. Since you like to play games, I'm finna play with that ass. Oh, I ain't worthy to be in here. Since you don't get life, I'm gonna make you my wife. Just for the night. I'm hard as I can get. This so you finna do hard time. Come spit that ass. That's the sound you finna be making. Ooh, you ain't going for no games. Since you wanna write statements, it's time to go to the basement. God, big fella, you looking like a cantaloupe. Somebody come get me. So come get this antidote. God, I'm finna put.
Oh yeah, he would just do a bunch of skits like that. And I thought they were fucking funny, man. And yeah, but you know what's crazy? I remember watching an interview. Somebody interviewed him somewhere, and he said, and this is the crazy part about social media, just this online world, man. Because my girl, she wants to start a YouTube channel, and because she's watched me do it, and I say, look, don't pay attention, and this is why I'll tell anybody who wants to do any type of streaming or anything, don't pay attention to the view counts, right? Because view counts are so if any YouTuber would be honest with you, they would tell, okay, if any YouTuber who's actually made any money off YouTube in any kind of way would be honest with you, they would tell you, look, paying attention to that view counter is in no way, shape, or form a way to gauge overall success, right? Especially if most people are looking for financial success. But okay, because there's been people who I've seen who've had 10,000 followers on Instagram, and they turned that into $1 million, right? Because they had something to sell. Whereas there's other people, they got 3 million followers and can't even afford their own rent, right? I was watching an interview with him, and he was saying how he had 1 million followers on Instagram and was living in his mom's basement because he just didn't have any money, right? Because comedy is cool, but you can't really sell that directly on social media in any kind of way, right? You can't really sell that. So I think he was trying to sell T-shirts, shit like that. So how you sell T-shirts is just like, it's actually pretty simple. You just you go to these little like Teespring or something like that, and you just make out the design you want, and then put that link on like your page. So when somebody buys that shirt, Teespring will just make the design for that person, right? So it's not like you actually have to make the shirt or you have to have like 500 of them printed off. You don't pay any. So when you see these coffee mugs and shit like that people buy coffee mugs, shirts, these types of things, they're not buying like 500 of them and leave them in their closet. That's what I thought they was doing. They're not like, they're not buying some, just keep them and then mail it out to you. It's a company that'll just, you tell them what design you want and then put a link on like YouTube, and then when somebody buys it, they're buying it from them, and they just make the shirt and send it to you. So, but yeah, back to him. He said he had 1 million followers on Instagram and had no money. I'm pretty sure he said he had no money. I could be wrong. I'm fairly certain he was broke. But that's the thing. Like, when it comes to this social media world, I would tell anybody, don't pay attention. If you want to do it, don't pay attention to that counter. One. And keep doing it, and or don't delete anything. Because okay, here's a logic about online and streaming and all this. Okay, once you upload a video, the good thing about the internet is it's on there forever. So you essentially do it, and it's free. It's free advertisement, right? As long as you have the equipment, you know, the camera, laptop, these things, right? You put up there, and it's a free advertisement, right? And here's even the more beautiful part about it, because somebody wrote me back on my channel. Okay, I'm back on. Okay, yes. So the weird way that social media works is so maybe it cut off earlier, but if you want to do social media, just record something and leave it up, no matter how cringy it is, because being cringy might be what gets you over. You never know how people are seeing you on the internet, right? Because I might be cringy as fuck. I don't know. I'm sure I've done some cringy shit. Leave it up, right? Leave it up because it's free advertisement and it's you doing that, right? One area, because there's a church that I know who they had a YouTube channel, and my dad was saying how they were trying that they set all their videos to private or something like that. I said that was the dumbest thing they could have done. Well, he said, "What? Well, yeah. What?" He said, "Well, the church the church doesn't want anybody taking it and and using it for something that they didn't want to use for." I said, "No, that's not how this works. That's not how this world works. You don't want to make anything on a whole private like that. You want it out there. It's free. This is free. Even if somebody steals your shit, even if somebody goes into my fucking Subscribe Star, takes all the fucking videos out and puts them somewhere else, that's free advertisement, right? How much would you have to pay somebody to do that? And they just did it for free, right? Now, there's varying amounts of success, but you see my point. When it comes to advertisement, I think piracy is great. Take it. I didn't pay you. Look, you just did $300. You just did $300 worth of work for me. Thank you. I had to pay nothing for it. Now, given the realm of my channel, it's just me talking. So like, somebody's gonna want to talk to me. Now, if somebody pirates it, they can't be me in a conversation, so they can't really do anything with it, right? So somebody could set up a channel, maybe make some little money here or there, but the money that they're gonna make is either gonna be short-lived or that money they were entitled to anyway for spreading me for free, right? It's free rent. Right? So back to that church, when they were putting their video on private, but they uploading their videos. So they were uploading their videos to YouTube, but they were sending all to private so nobody could steal it. Well, why are they uploading to YouTube? It was just it's just not intelligent from the start. If you want to record it, just record it, but there's no reason to put it on YouTube, right? Right. I mean, I guess there's probably maybe they just want a certain group of people to see. I don't know, but. But yeah, since the internet is this free living space, now if you had to pay to upload videos to YouTube, that would be different. But you don't even have to pay to do it. It's free. Now they taking money from you from the traffic and the clicks and all that, which is okay, and you can count that technically as payment. But from you, of just open up a laptop, doing it, but boom, 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 done. That's free. Look, it's there out in the world for free. And somebody could watch a video you did 4 years ago and be like, yeah, you a cool dude, man. You want to come over here and next thing you know, you doing something else with your life because of some video recording that somebody watched 2 years ago, right? So when it comes to this online thing, you just keep doing it. Keep doing it, and whatever you made, leave it up, right? Because in the name of the show business kind of things and media, no, good news is good news and bad news is good news. Good attention is good attention and bad attention is good attention. Until you make it to like a certain point, I would say, right? Like then it's like you can strengthen the brand by being quiet, But I'm not at that level, which I'm completely aware. I'm not delusional. If I do the math for 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Or Mario, your friend was down to do 3 ways. But yeah. But yeah, man. Thanks, parody account. But yeah, if you, I would recommend anybody do it, man. Just whatever you want to do, just upload it and leave it there. It's just do it. But like I said, so back to the money part. There's guys who get who there's guys or girls who have under 10,000 followers, but they sold something on the back end, right? Like I could sell like perspective, opinions, philosophy, shit like that, right? Yeah, by being brutally honest and these kind of things. Now I think comedy is kind of hard to do. Unless you could be like, was it Long Beach Griffey or what's those other guys, RDC World or something like that? I think those guys are pretty funny too. Unless you could have like you can continuously make comedy videos, um, something like that. Comedy is kind of a hard thing to do because you really won't make any money off of that. I mean, I just don't see a way you can make money off of that unless you decide to go on, unless you can get lucky and get some type of a road gig doing it. Um, I just don't see many ways you can really flip that into something. Even if people pirate your shit, you got to get on the road doing something with that. Um, Now, like in my situation, um, pirating. Like, so here's the thing. Was my channel now maybe getting 1,000 views a video, something like that, which is, in my opinion, I think that's still fucking awesome. I think it's great. That's still 1,000 more than I ever thought I would have got for any video. If you'd asked me when I first started doing YouTube, if you had told me I'd get 1,000 views, that just would have been, I couldn't believe it at the time. So my channel had its run. I was getting up to like the average like 10,000 views, and then it just like died. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe it was something I said. Who knows? But whatever. But the way, okay, especially how social media is now. Somebody can go somewhere and take a clip of something I fucking said, right? And put it in another video that's completely out of context. Or let's say like Ryan Reynolds could fuck around and watch this. He could fuck around and and see Deadpool. It pop up in his YouTube feed and watch what I said about it. And if he just says like my first fucking name in a video and shows a clip of me talking, well, there you go. That's free advertisement right there. He just said it, right? Like the social, or somebody can make a meme of something I said and make fun of me, right? And it just and that can take off. You just got to keep doing whatever you make, put it up there and leave. When it comes to any type of media, you just cannot predict success or failure. You can't predict it. It's impossible. When or how you will succeed or fail, you can't predict it. Because if you could, everybody would just do it. But reality doesn't work that way. But yeah, I've seen, what's weird? I would see, like, for a while when my channel got kind of big, I seen somebody posted me on Facebook, and then it got shared. And that was really weird to see, like, somebody I didn't even know share, like, an old YouTube video of me on Facebook. I didn't even know that other person. That was weird. But yeah, man. I would tell anybody to do it, but just remember the realities of it. If I was living in America, I would be a little more worried. If I like I say, if I was living in America and I was stuck in America for whatever reason, I would be a little more worried. Like, let's say if I had to get a job one day, because like how I mentioned earlier in this live stream, America really holds you to what you've done throughout all your life, and America doesn't let go of that. So somebody can fuck around and see a video and be like, yeah, we're not going to hire you because you were saying this about women or something like that. And it was something I said like 6 years ago or something like that. America would do that. Whereas like over here, not so much, especially depending on where you're going to go to work, right? They don't hold on to that like that over here. They'll just see it as they say, oh, well, you did that one time in your life, but that time's over. We're in a now kind of thing. But like I said, if I was in North America, I would be a little more self-conscious and probably be a little more worried. But I'm not. Now that I know that the world is out there and the world exists, I'm not. I mean, it's always a chance somebody could be a little, salty or, angry about something I said. But I'm not worried about it. It got to a point, Robbie, where I started to get recognized when I would walk around Prague. I remember I was leaving a mall one time. One time I was leaving a mall, and this guy kept staring at me. But I had my AirPods in, and he was saying something, but I couldn't hear him. And he just kept staring at me and pointing at me, and I was like, so I thought he was probably just some weird guy or something. So something told me to take the AirPod out, as he kept following me, and he goes, YouTube. I go, oh, yeah. And we ended up talking for a minute. He was a cool guy. We ended up talking. But he got to a point where I started to get recognized for a little while. That was getting a little weird. Or somebody would come over to. I remember one time I was out to eat and somebody came over to the table and said they seen me on YouTube. Or they asked me if I was a YouTuber. But yeah, I started to get recognized. But yeah, that's died off. Or maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's died off in my experiences. What are foreign men's opinion on American women? When I see American women with foreign men, it looks so awkward. Foreign men's opinion on America. Well, okay, everybody just wants pussy, first off. So as long as she just looks all right. But it's a known thing that American women are fucked up. Like it's known. It's not a secret by any means. It's definitely not any. The only people who think it's a secret are American women because they could just live in their own bubble. But no, the whole world knows American women are fucked up. It's no secret. Once you go to other, if you ask anybody from any other country about American women, and it won't be long until you hear the same things. The women, they've become too masculine. They've gotten loud. They lack femininity. All these things. It's no secret. YouTube shadow bans you. If you start a new channel and use PC language, you can get a lot more subs and views. Word. I'm probably too lazy to do that, to be honest. Because I'm going to start teaching soon. But I'm doing it part-time. I'm not doing 40 hours a week. Fuck that. I'm going to start teaching soon. I can't do it 40. I just cannot do 40 hours a week. Unless I had to. Of course, if there was no other option, I would rather just struggle on my own instead of do 40 hours. I just can't do it. As long as I have the option. Because I'm fucked up now financially. See, these are the problems that people so here's a problem people don't tell you about. See, they'll hear you live in Europe and all this shit like that. Americans will hear that, and and they be like, "Oh, this motherfucker, this is easy street. I wish I lived in Europe." Blah, blah, blah. So I'm fucked up right now. How I'm fucked up right now? So here it is. So America has gotten very weird with money transactions, right? And this is something you'll only know if you were in this position. And it could be luck of the draw. Some people may not have an issue with it, but it's become a thing now to where there's a decent amount of people who have this similar issue. Especially once you start talking Slavic, because Slavic countries are usually on a list for not being very trustworthy. Once you start talking Eastern Europe, and Czech Republic is right there, so I think it's fitting this situation. So my bank randomly just decided to stop letting my Apple Pay work for my Visa card, right? Now, and I couldn't even pay my phone electric bill last week, and it was so annoying, dude. So I go down there to pay my bill, right, with my American bank account on Apple Pay, and it didn't work. I'm like, what? Like, the money's in here, right? The money's in here. Car's not working, right? So I leave. I call the bank. I say, look, like, yo, what's the problem? I'm trying to pay this bill. It's not, my Apple Pay's not working. They go, oh, well, it looks like Visa flagged your car for fraud. What the fuck, flagged my car for fraud? I called you guys when I first came over here, and I told you to leave, to leave it on Czech Republic being open until I change it. Well, it's been flagged for fraud. You got to call. I'll connect you with Visa so you can verify that it was you. I see you're at, the phone company trying to pay your bill just now. Blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah. So they transfer me to Visa. Somebody picked up the phone with an accent I could not understand 80% of what they were saying at minimum. Right? See, I could hear them just fine, but I could not understand. I don't know what accent that was. I never heard it before. So they go, okay, yeah. So I got out of it. I finally got out of it that they fixed the problem. So I go back in to try to pay the bill again. It doesn't work. So I said, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna go home and just try again tomorrow. So just to be safe, I took the card out of Apple Pay, put it back in with all the information. Go back down and try it again. Doesn't work. So I call the bank again. They say, oh, well, it looks like the card was never activated. You got to call and activate the card. Bullshit. Anyway, so whatever. So I called in, activated it, right? Go back in, try to use the card, didn't work. Right? Doesn't work. Right? So here's the other part that gets fucked up, by the way, too. And these are stories that, see these fucking clowns in North America who are claiming that they try to sell that they travel, but they never really come up with these real problems. Probably because they never stayed anywhere long enough to actually have a real problem. So when you come to a place like Czech Republic, right? Again, Europe is generally 10 to 20 years behind in everyday usage of technology, mostly because they still have social lives, right? You cannot pay your electric bill unless you have money in the Czech bank, because they use the IBAN. It's like an IBAN number, a variable. Look, I've never talked. Here, I'll show you guys all this crazy shit that you got to do. You got to fill out to fucking pay just like a basic bill online. Check. Was it variable? It's a variable symbol, a constant symbol, and then the actual bank account. And you got to have all this shit right. Or because here's the thing, if you fill it out wrong, it'll still send the money, but it'll send it to it'll send it to nowhere. Like, their banking system is so just bad. It's just so horrifically bad. Let me see this. Okay, yeah, right here. So you see this, it says transaction type Czech Republic bank transfer. So you see it says account number right underneath that. Then you need a variable symbol and some bank need a specific symbol. Now these symbols are not like two digits long. They're like 7-8 digits long. And if you type one number in wrong, it'll send the money out, but it'll just go nowhere. You want to know how I know that? It's because I paid my phone bill for like 3 or 4 months, and this is when I had T-Mobile, and T-Mobile said, "Oh, we never got a payment." I'm like, bullshit, you never got a payment. I got the history right here. I didn't put the variable symbol in, right? So the money just like went to nothingness. So they had to go find it. It's just really bad. Like this is what I mean. Like the tech, they're 10 to 20 years behind. It's just way too overcomplicated. So long story short, so if I want to pay my electric bill, they only can use, let me see, the check, their fucking system, and you need yeah, well, yeah, and then you need this number. Yeah, so you got to have all this shit. Well, just pay attention to the numbers. You got to have all that if you want to pay your electric bill, right? So the problem right now is I can't even pay my electric bill, and a buddy of mine's got to come help me out to pay. I said, look, dude, I'll just buy you a bicycle. Just show me what, because they like to ride bikes over here. I said, look, just send me the bike you want, and I'll buy you the bike if you pay the bill, because I can't pay it. Because I ain't got no check, because I can't send myself check crowns, right? And see, these are the problems that see, these are the real problems that traveling people don't talk about, because most times they never, stay anywhere long enough to actually have a problem. You know what I mean? Or they never actually lived in the real world enough to have a real world problem kind of thing. But these are the types of real world problems I'll be dealing with, for the next 2 hours on the phone or some shit like that, or like before I start a live stream, some shit like this. See, these are the problems that I have, right? I'm not reading these problems from a book. I'm living them, right? Yeah, Nick, that's exactly what they did. They sent it to it just disappeared. They didn't know where it went. They end up finding it, but they just, they'll let you send it. Don't know where it did, and have you type in 50 goddamn digits, when you want to send it. But where it actually goes, who knows? Like, how are you even operating like this? This is horrible. Would you be afraid of being accused of something if you were to teach in America? Well, I wouldn't teach in America. First off, Lita, I wouldn't even teach in America. One, because the requirements to teach in America are so ridiculously bad that it's just not even worth it, in my opinion, unless you just want to be a teacher. Like, I wouldn't even teach in North America unless I knew somebody who worked at a private school who would just take, because I'm just not going to go get those certificates. I'm not doing those 6-8 month certificate programs at some school to do. I'm just not doing it. It's not worth it to me. So I wouldn't even work in America. I wouldn't teach in the U.S. anyway. I've had issues with banks lately too. They froze my account over a small crypto transaction. I'm planning on moving all my money onto the crypto blockchain now. Can't trust. Yeah, the banks. Yeah, and that's the problem I've had. The banks, they've been fucking up lately. So like, and so the other part is, so I have a Discover card. They won't even, like, Czech Republic won't even take the Discover card in most of the places. They'll take Visas in most places, but they don't take Discover cards. And what confirmed it was somebody came to visit me, and I was with them, and they tried to use a Discover card, and it didn't work. So that's how I knew it wasn't just me. It's the Discover card, because I was trying to pay for my Discover card in the grocery store, and it would work like half the time, right? I remember when it first happened, I came home and I called Discover. I said, look, why is my card not working? And they said, well, we didn't even see you even try to use it. It's not even showing up as you tried to use it. So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe the problem's with Apple Pay, or maybe they just don't take Discover. So then I Googled, does Czech Republic take Discover? So let's Google it right now. Yeah, both cards lag behind Visa and MasterCard. American Express is also, but both cards lag. Okay, wait. Where is it? Because, oh, here it is right here. Yeah. Discover is generally not accepted in Czechia or elsewhere in Europe. They just won't take it. So, and I'm speaking off of actual living this. The only place that takes my card right now is Bila, and now Tesco's gotten more consistent, but at first they weren't taking it at all. So I essentially I can't buy anything from anywhere else except those two places. Um, yeah, because I tried to pay for Deadpool with the card and it didn't work at the movie theater. It wouldn't work there. So yeah, like the only place that consistently is taking it was Bila, which is a grocery store. Bila's the only place that's consistently taking it without problem. Tesco had problems at first, but now they're taking it a lot more now. But anywhere else I've tried, Discover, just it won't work. I'm trying to think. I think there was like one more little random place I think it might have worked, but I can't think of it now. But yeah, because I remember I was having problems with the American Bank a while back. About 3 weeks ago, I tried to buy some ribs from the butcher, and my American card just didn't work. And that was usually my go-to card. Didn't work. That was with the Bank of North America, and that was when I first noticed problems with that bank. I tried to buy some ribs for like $5 at the butcher. Get about 3 pounds of ribs for about $5 6 something like that, and it just didn't work because I was with my son. And so when I got home, I called his mom. I said, "Hey, can you go to the butcher to get some ribs because my card, his money on the card just is not working." Because yeah, she went and bought the ribs because she always carries cash. But yeah, that's my life, man. That's the reality of it. I'm gonna get out of here because it's 10:08 and I'm just tired. But yeah, man, that's my life out here living this shit. Jesus Christ. I got so much shit I gotta fix. Oh, another problem just happened today too. So my car battery has been dead for like 2 or 3 months because I just don't drive it. I just ride the trains everywhere. So a buddy of mine came down and he jump started it and all that, but it's just gonna be the same problem because I don't drive it unless it's an emergency. So I wanted to get a trickle charger, a little solar power charger for the battery, so it's always gonna stay charged up. Just leave the solar power in the window and the battery will always stay charged. Well, good old Europe. Yeah, this is where Europe is like 10 to 20 years. Not, I would say in America, probably about 60 years behind. There's a saying, this saying applies perfectly to this. How um, the saying goes something like uh, Americans can get a howitzer from Oklahoma to Ukraine faster than you can get a letter from Poland to Ukraine. And that is 1,000% true. Le- America's logistics are at minimum in top three of the world. Europe's is pretty fucking. Dude. So, Jesus Christ. If you're in America and you think mail is bad in America, you don't know what bad mail is. Period. You don't know. You just don't know yet. Especially from a state over some shit like that. No, you don't know what bad mail is. So my dad sent this charger from North America, mostly because in North America it was cheaper. It was cheaper from my dad to buy the charger in North America and ship it to Czech Republic than it was for me to go buy the charger here in Czech Republic. One, that's how bad logistics are here, right? Period. That's just how bad they are, right? Logistics, economics, whatever you want to call it. It depends on how deep you want to go. Now, luckily, I just happened to check this one email that I very rarely use, and I seen that they they're holding the package, and I had to fill out this ridiculous paperwork to get it through customs to get it, and I don't even know if it's even been accepted to come in. Let me see if they sent me another email. I don't even know if I'm gonna get it. I think I gotta check my laptop. Yeah, I don't have that email open on here. I gotta check my laptop. But yeah, these are problems that you don't really get just reading them in a book. Being Thomas Sowell as a profession isn't a great thing if you talking about people who actually out here, living with life. There's only so much you could read in a book. I mean, it's just horrible. It's just real bad. And here's the thing. The other part is like if you get mail from like getting mail from like the U.S. to here, it's a gamble if you'll actually get it. You may not actually get it. Right. Out of everything that's been sent here that I know of between me and my dad, or my dad sent somebody else something, I say it's about a 60% chance you might get it. At best 70. At absolute best. The logistics when it comes to mail, just logistics in general, just is not Europe's strong point at all. When it comes to logistics and thinking and planning in this format, like either they're going to be the absolute best, either the few are going to be the absolute best you've ever seen, or the majority are just going to be dumb as a box of fucking rocks. They just don't have it. Like, and I hate to say that. I hate because it's just mean to say, but it's the truth. It's when these situations happen, I look at them and I just be thinking, I see why y'all be losing wars like that. like I see why y'all be losing wars. Because you just don't, because they this part of life, they just don't got it. It's just not there. That sense of preparation, logistical planning, genuine laid out thought of what to do in case of this. What if, that computer programming, if this, then that. They don't have that. They don't have that. It's too much stress. They don't have that. They don't have it. I'm not surprised they be losing wars and they need everybody. So I'm so not, dude. Like, I'm not surprised. Now that's one area where, again, like, it's good parts and there's bad parts. That's a bad part of Europe. They just, and I don't think they ever will. I don't think it's just not in them to be like that. Once upon a time, Americans did have a social life. We've lost it to technology, but we did have a social life. But when it comes to this planning, yeah, no, it's just not here. It's just what is here. What's here is if you bring it up and tell them about it, they're gonna get mad because you're the American talking about it, right? They're gonna get mad about it instead of like be like, or is it the very okay? The ones who've left and come back immediately see it and get it. But I'm talking about the ones who like only stayed here, like they just can't see it and they'd rather just get mad at you. Because the sad part is here's the sad part is and this is gonna be fucked up to say, but hear me out. Everything that they think that Africa and the Middle East is, that's what they are. Like, they are that. Like, legit. Like, everything that they think the Middle East and Africa is, that's exactly what they are. Right? The only thing that's held them up was NATO and all this other shit. That's the only thing. Because if it wasn't for that, it would be in ruins right now. Well, it just wouldn't exist because America would have never gave them the loan after World War II. And that loan was literally taken to help all this shit survive and stay out of Russia's hands, whereas Eastern Europe got the Warsaw Pact. So it made it illegal for them to take that American aid, and that of which the American aid that was given to Europe, it was between the UK, Germany, and I think France and Spain took the vast majority of it and left the rest of them out to dry. And see, those parts of history, don't want to talk about that. That's evil. Now you angry and all that for bringing that up, but these are realities of their history. Like. But on the other side, like I said, there's good parts, right? There's definitely other good parts about it. That's why I'm still here. The social is more for what they lack in technology and logistics, they make up for in social and anything that has to do with social. They make up for in that. But when you talk about logistics, technology, planning, just don't even try. Like just just look. You'd be better off asking a middle school student in the U.S. about logistics and planning than going. I remember a friend of mine. So I'm gonna let y'all go after this story. So a friend of mine was going. He had always traveled his whole life. He was in the military, and his friend, the guy who was he was a Navy SEAL. This guy's crazy too. Like when you see him, like something's been unlocked in his brain that shouldn't have been unlocked. Kind of thing. His name was Chip, and Chip was wild, man. Chip, he was one of those like you can't fake that shit. But anyway, it was Chip. It was my friend. And Chip wasn't really my friend. I just knew him through a friend of mine. And there was another guy, and we would all kind of hang out from time to time. They were older than me. They're all like 50. I'm 38. They're all like 50. But we met in college. I met him in college because he went back to college as an older guy, he was an older student at the time. So that's how I met him. We're still friends to this day. Well, anyway, one of his friends had he was into programming. I can't remember what you call it, but pretty much it's ping sensors. Ping sensors. He was programming ping sensors for like Kraft. These relatively big names. Tyson Chicken. I think Tyson Chicken was the biggest one he was working with at that time. He was working with Tyson Chicken for their assembly lines. He was working with ping sensors and different sensors with that. He just taught himself how to do it and went out and sold it, right? And so that's what he would do. Well, he had to come to both Europe and he had to go, I think, to India, right? And he had an associate's degree. And he came out here and he said, look, the quality was so bad. Like, and he was working, and the people he was working with had like masters and doctorates. And he said, with that American associate's degree, he came out here and had to rearrange everything. Because they just didn't have that sense of yeah. I think he went to India and here, and he had to just redo everything. They just didn't have it. And I can't speak for India, but I can speak for here. I can see it. I'm not saying it was 100% true. Maybe there was more to the story, but from what I've seen and recognized, I can vouch for. I'm not gonna say it's not impossible. Now the other part of it, I'm really gonna let you go after this. The other part of it is, so there's a female friend of mine. We were talking and she's fucked up because her mother's getting ready to sell the house. Now, and we had a thorough conversation about this, She said, yeah, because she lived in North America for a while too. She said, yeah, she goes, yeah, like, see, yeah, you guys in North America, your houses can be built in, 9 months max. And it's like, but it's all hollow. It's all like drywall, it's all, you could punch a hole in a wall kind of thing. Whereas here, when they build a house here, they're building it brick by brick with cement type of shit. Like the wall is literally brick. When I mounted my TVs, I didn't have to look for a stud. You just, wherever you want to mount something, just start drilling because it's concrete, right? So it takes them a lot longer to build houses. Well, I had never thought about the other side of that. Since it takes them so long to build houses, they get more attached to them. So when they gotta sell it, it's just like it can be that much more depressing because it took them longer to build it. And in many ways, it's more expensive for them because they spend a lot more for hardware and this shit. They spend a lot more for that than we do in America. So in reality, they're probably spending about the same or probably more money than people in North America are spending on houses. But the good part is it's made out of concrete, bricks and concrete. Do you think Europe will adopt AI? Yeah. I think AI will be adopted first by the rest of the world before Western countries do. I think AI will be adopted. I think AI will be adopted quicker in non-Western countries because because it's just that quicker to translate shit. It's just quicker. If Here's the thing I've learned about other, like, non-Western countries is once they get access to technology, they'll exploit the fuck out of it from the start. Now, you give Americans new technology, they just want a new camera to take a picture with and put on Instagram. You take that same iPhone and you take it to some of these countries that aren't identifying by the iPhone, they'll take it and figure out. See, whenever you watch these guys on the internet who are like really 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 good at video games and shit like that, a lot of times it's gonna be these dudes in these countries, like it's gonna be like these Eastern European dudes and shit like that, because they don't have anything else, right? So they're gonna focus on it. When they do get it, they're gonna exploit they're gonna have workarounds to make an iPhone 2's camera look like an iPhone 15 in quality. They're gonna figure something out. You go online and type in how to do Photoshop, 8 out of 10 of them gonna be Indian. Right? They gonna exploit the fuck out that Photoshop. I mean, you'll find a couple Americans who fuck with Blender, from day one. But go type in, look, most of them, well, now it's probably flooded with all types of people. But, when it's new, look, I think Europe's going to adopt AI first. But I think Europe's going to adopt it before. And the reason why I say I think it's going to be that way first is because since in the Western countries, it's a different kind of hate for technology. In the Western countries, since we have it so much, we get bored with technology and look for ways to demonize it because we're bored, right? Whereas people in, let's just say, like, less in poor, relatively speaking, poorer countries, they'll hate it because they just can't afford it. And so they'll come up with ways to hate it and not like it because they can't afford it, so they don't have experience with it. So like another example is like air conditioning, right? A lot of Czechs don't like air conditioning because they think it makes them sick, because they don't have that awareness to really manage it, because they don't have that much experience with it. So for example, if you ride a tram here, right, they'll try to open the windows. Like, they don't understand airflow. Like, Czechs in general, from my experiences, don't understand the concept of airflow, right? They know how to open a window. They can figure out a fan, but they don't understand the concept of temperature and flow with it outside of, blocking out the sun. That's about where, again, the caveman level shit, right? And the reason why I say this is because you go on a tram, right? It's onto an air-conditioned one. When it's hot as fuck, you might get lucky if the people did not open the windows, because they don't understand to close the windows to let the air condition, work up to get to cool the tram. They don't understand that. So you get on a tram when it's hot as fuck outside, it's gonna be hot as fuck in the tram because they don't understand the process in making air conditioning work. So the other issue is, when it's like, it's summertime, but it maybe rained and now it's cold outside because it rained, and it's like dark, cloudy and all that. Well, you'll get on a tram, it'll be freezing cold and it's worse, right? Well, they never turn the air conditioner off, right? And a lot of times people will get sick because of stupid ways like that. And it's not they're getting sick off the air conditioning. They're getting sick because they don't know, because they don't have enough experience and know how to regulate the air conditioning. But since they don't have that experience, typical ignorance, technology must be bad. It's bad. Boredom and or lack of experience usually equals, in the technology world, it must be bad. There must be something evil behind it. But in some when it's something about AI and music, I mean, I'm sorry, AI in terms of a country adopting something like AI, I think AI will be adopted far quicker. I think it's going to be, yeah, AI is going to be accepted before it will be in North America. Well, okay, okay, how is the bigger question? For example, like the Alexa situation, the Siri situation, I knew immediately that they were going to put Siri was going to be AI soon. Like all that shit's going to be AI. Now, in terms of like your smart assistant, I think that will seamlessly become AI. But in terms of using it like a Google search engine or using it in any way to like truly do anything in the world, like make a new lease agreement or make an invoice or something like that, that's going to be exploited far quicker in places like here, or, outside of the US, in everyday places, or like, people individually. I see a huge influx in fraud, a huge influx with that because it's just too easy. You just type in what you want and you just work with it and you'll get it. I see a huge that's going to get off the charts bad. And guess who's going to have the leg up? It's going to be them poorer countries. Because them poorer countries, look, for them poorer countries, all you need is internet access. And you got AI now. And the AI will tell you what to do. That may not be perfect all the time, but it's a hell of a lot better than not having AI or just having Google. Because AI will tell you something. AI will tell you something, and then you say AI, hey, translate this into Mandarin. Well, I don't know if Mandarin works, but I've tried Czech. I tried Italian, and I verified it with my girl who speaks Czech and Italian, and she was completely shocked at it. Then I said, okay, now rewrite this in Italian, but make it sound like a drunk toddler, right? And I had my girl read in Italian. I said, look, is this right? Does this sound like a drunk toddler would write something like this in Italian? And she read it, and she goes, yeah. Right. AI is amazing for what it does. Now, for the people who say that it still isn't good enough to replace jobs, I've seen other people say the same thing. The only people who would say that are people who didn't program it to do the right thing. It's going to do what you tell it to do. So if you're not thorough in what you want to do, then it's not going to be thorough. It's going to be, now some ways it still is a little off. It has just told me some bad information, like with like a video game I asked a question about. It just told me some complete wrong information in that context. But in the context of taking over like actual jobs, I think it's really there now. If a person just tried and didn't try to use it as like a as a genie. And if a person doesn't use AI as a genie, but they use it as just as a programming application, oh yeah, I think it's already there now. But yeah, let me get out of here. It's 10:30. I gotta go. So yeah, y'all have a good day tonight, and I'll catch y'all later, man. Thanks everybody. Tune in, like, subscribe, comment it. I'll catch y'all later, man. Peace out.